hockey community for you to be drafted in the first round.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Puck Drops. Here's really excited for this episode today. We get to the draft again, the third straight year on this channel. We'll do the draft live stream. The first overall selection 2 years ago, Rasmus Dahlin. Last year, it was Jack Hughes. Probably will end up being Lafreniere for the New York Rangers, but sit with us for the next few hours, and for the first time in the Puck Drops here history, tomorrow I will have 2nd to 7th round coverage on the NHL draft, the other rounds.
Yeah, I actually slept pretty good last night. It was kind of surprising, but I'm a little nervous, but mostly.
So obviously right now getting ready for the NHL entry draft, and there's a lot to look at. You look at the draft orders. Actually, give me a second, just letting everything's set up first as well.
Obviously, it was going to be in Montreal this year, but we don't get to have that. So I think the people here at North Dakota and all the media people and around the rink, they're trying to make it as real as they can, and they're doing a great job for us.
Well, best of luck. Thanks so much for the time, and try to have fun tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much.
For the Americans, this draft figures to be a little less top-heavy than last year. Certainly some intriguing prospects.
Hey, Tommy, what's up, man? Just
You see Brendan Brisson, the son of Pat Brisson, the agent, and Alex Tunt's younger brother in this as well.
We all have our own journey ahead.
all right.
Our own hopes.
Got everything taken care of. Here we go. So you got the Rangers have the first overall pick. Tommy, I know it's your team. There's no chance. Everyone was saying, "Oh, who will they pick? I think they're going to pick Lafreniere," but they haven't yet. And there were thoughts that they could be trading. No, they're going to take the selection. They'll take Lafreniere. Don't know if Lafreniere will be able to make the Rangers opening night roster. He does play a center, but he does play center, but he is a hockey player. Of course, he'll be on all night. Hockey player that is on a team that's deep at centers. I think at free agency, Strome may go, and what will probably happen is Strome will probably leave for the Rangers, and Lafreniere can slot in. Now, the second best player, obviously, they said Drysdale's the best defenseman out there, right in front of Jake Sanderson. But to me, I think you go Byfield if you're the Kings. You need another center, especially when Kopitar retires, whenever he does. You need a center. You go for Quinton Byfield. He played in Sudbury in the Ontario Hockey League, and this is a guy that obviously he knows big-time hockey. The OHL is as competitive as it can be. This guy's goal scorer, too. That's the big thing as well. They wanted a goal scorer. So Byfield, he helps, obviously, with that. Who do I think the Jets will pick? Let me look at where Winnipeg is drafting. And I actually should roll through all the who's picking who. The 10th overall. Okay, so I would say I think Hendrix Lapierre, who I love. Tommy, you know this for a fact. I've talked to him a lot, but I can't stop talking about good things about this Lapierre kid. He's unbelievable. He's fast, and he's also a sniper. He can shoot the puck more than he passes. I think he's going to go a lot higher than people believe. So I think Lapierre as a Jet would help. But they do need help on the back end desperately. I think the Jets will go best player available. But one quick thing for the Devils before I go into some more outline things. The New Jersey Devils, as they show right now on NBCSN, the Rangers draft for the New Jersey Devils have to pick the goaltender, Yaroslav Askarov, because you look at the fact this guy is going to be all-time, big-time all-time. It's going to be the next Andrei Vasilevsky, this guy. The Devils don't know who their real goaltender is. Their young guy that's only about 25, he's already 25 years old, is already going to get a contract. The window is not open at all. They're doing a whole rebuilding team. So when the window does open and they become really good again in a few years, this guy Ashcroft will be ready and mature enough to step in and play great. You know, there's no reason if this guy falls flat. You have so many needs that there's not one player that's going to fulfill. If you go and get I don't know Sanderson or Perfetti or Jack Quinn or any of these guys, they're going to help, but they're not really going to solve it. And Ashcroft's not going to play for another few years, but you don't need someone now. But you're going to need a goaltender in the future. The Devils have not had – I mean, Schneider was there for a few years, but they have not had that standalone franchise goaltender since Martin Brodeur. And before Brodeur, they had a few others. So going to need one of those guys. And Ashcroft is that for the Devils. Now, for the Flyers, when you get those late first-round picks, it's not so pressing. And Philadelphia has the 23rd selection in the draft, like Jacob Perreault. Jacob Perreault fits really well with that team.
All right, live pictures. So let's family.
Look at this. It is Lafreniere, Stutzel, of course. I don't think Stutzel's going to go first, like second overall. I think he'll drop a bit, but he's obviously closing in on to see if he could be the highest drafted German player ever. There have been 2 Germans drafted number 4 overall one that was done. That was Seider was drafted 6. Only one that has been drafted number 4 overall in NHL history, and that was Draisaitl a few years ago. So if Stutzel goes second, he would be the highest drafted German ever to go there. And Quentin Byfield behind him, who I think is definitely going number 2. Jamie Drysdale, who we previously talked about, the defenseman, top-rated defenseman in this draft. Then you look at Jake Sanderson, who is the son of Jeff Sanderson, the offensive scorer. He's a disciplined defenseman. He's physical. Mark Rossi from Latvia, another center that could go through. But I think a bunch of these European guys are going to fall. A lot of people still deny this in hockey circles, but there is sort of a Canadian bias. And these guys just aren't as skilled as some of these players like Byfield. Jack Quinn, another Canadian right wing, we'll see where he goes. He'll go pretty highly. I'm not going to do a full mock draft right now, but when each pick is announced, I'll tell you who I think will go to this pick. Second thing, as I said before, the second to seventh. I'm sorry, I'm very excited and nervous. Second to seventh round, I will be doing. I know it's not very popular, but I will be streaming that as well tomorrow. Alex Holtz and Lucas Raymond, the 2 Swedes, they were supposed to go in the top 5 in the preseason, but it looks like they'll drop to around the after 10. But whoever gets them are going to be really happy with exactly their production, especially Raymond. Holtz has had some injury issues, but Raymond's has been a bit more consistent. The first overall selection we know is owned by the Rangers. We'll sweep these through first because it's quick. And let's see how many trades we got. 2 years ago, we had a bunch of trades. Last year, we had I don't even remember if there was a trade in the first round. I believe there was none, but then a flurry later on. The Rangers have the first pick, then the Kings, then Ottawa from the Erik Karlsson Sharks deal. That's the thing. The Sharks have really struggled this year. They have no first-round selection. And I believe they have one less second or third-round pick because the league was traded as well. Then Detroit, who did not luck out. They had the worst record in all of hockey. They sit at 4. They were the only team before the whole COVID break to be eliminated from playoff contention or to be clinched or eliminated of anything. That's how bad they were. And it wasn't even at the break. It was like 2 weeks before COVID hit that the Red Wings had already clinched that they had missed the Stanley Cup playoffs. Ottawa at 5. That's their own pick. Then at 6 sits Anaheim. Then at 7 sits the Devils. Also, if you remember, you want to talk about goaltenders. Florida picked their goaltender around pick, I believe, 11 last season. Buffalo at 8, and it looks like they'll go defenseman if one sits, either Drysdale or Sanderson. Minnesota is at 9, Winnipeg at 10, Nashville at 11, Florida at 12, Carolina from the Toronto trade last year with the salary dump for Patrick Marleau. He has the 13th pick. They have the 13th pick, not he does. He's not a team. Edmonton at 14. Toronto has their pick from the Pittsburgh Penguins at 15. Montreal 16. Chicago 17. The Devils have a first-round selection from the Coyotes at 18. At 19 is Calgary. The Devils have their third pick from the Blake Coleman trade via the pick that Tampa Bay got from Vancouver, the JT Miller trade. That's their third and final pick of the night in the first round for the Devils. I could see the Devils trading back one of these picks. I kind of think they should trade back to get more picks. You need as many players as you can get, but whoever is not drafted at 7, the Devils probably won't start. They probably won't make the opening night roster. Anyone the Devils draft tonight or tomorrow will probably not make the Devils opening night roster this year. May not even play this year. So, if you can get picks in the second round that pan out, that may be a better option than just to pick just amicably, this guy looks good kind of thing. Pick who you know. The Columbus Blue Jackets at 21, they just made a huge trade today to get more offensive depth. They traded for Max Domi from the Canadiens and also got a third-round selection and ended up trading as well. They ended up trading Josh Anderson to Montreal, which Domi helps, but it's a very big loss, in my opinion. It's a huge loss to them because they that's really what I'm saying. I'm sorry, I got distracted by the draft coverage, but Anderson is a really good player, and his statistics and analytics have gone up every year he's played, and he has really contributed to this Columbus machine. So that is a great acquisition that is made by Bergevin. It's a good trade for both teams, even though it's a lot of money that the Columbus Blue Jackets just got thrown on themselves because of the Domi trade. The Rangers with the trade from Carolina get the 22nd pick, their second pick of the draft. The Flyers at 23, the Caps at 24, Colorado at 25, the Blues at 26, Anaheim at 27, Ottawa at 28, and that's another selection, their third of the night. That comes from the Islanders' Jean-Gabriel Pageau trade. Vegas at 29. The 30th selection belongs to Dallas, and from the San Jose does have a first-round selection. I'm not sure exactly what the trade was for. It might have been Goodrow. Yeah, I think it was the Goodrow trade. But the Goodrow trade gives San Jose a first-round selection. So Tampa does not have one, but they traded their first-round selection. So they got a first-round selection that they traded again. So both times they traded first-round selections, but two of those players, Coleman and Goodrow, were on the ice and really helped to win the Stanley Cup that last night for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So there's no need for selection.
On the floor of a packed and excited Bell Center, Montreal.
So Bettman is speaking. I don't seem a need to. I have to explain that final part of the video as well. I forgot to explain. Many of these videos, if you've been catching up, have flagged me for copyright. Or not a flag with copyright. Excuse me, I do not show the game because of copyright issues, potentially. You may have seen that. That is true, but we also have a real tradition on this channel of showing the pick and hearing the pick being announced. Now, I don't want to get banned, so I did this. It's going to be a little monotonous, but I'm going to bring my computer every time the pick is selected. Now, tomorrow I won't do this, but for the first round I will do this, and I will show it being announced, and we can hear it being announced, but then obviously I'll bring the computer right back. I'll do that a few times so I don't get flagged, but you can also still see the pick. If I'm starting getting notifications that I might get flagged, then you will not see it be announced for the rest of the time. But hopefully that won't be much of a problem. Still in the introduction with the commissioner, but not there yet. Obviously, the Rangers are the one that's on the clock. They'll take a bit of some time to figure out exactly what they want to do. They know who they want to pick, but maybe stall it a little bit for TV. Also communicate, see if there's any deals that are just exceptional. If not, Lafreniere go.
Another aspect of the draft that remains unchanged, whether it is held in late June or early October, is that it serves as the pivot point at which the league turns its attention from the season just completed to the one coming up next. It was just over a week ago that we celebrated the successful completion of our 2019-20 return to play with the crowning of the Tampa Bay Lightning as Stanley Cup champions. And tonight, following discussions with the
Okay, that's what we'll do. Let's see you, Jeremy. Right now, still, Christian was talking about. We'll look at some of these trades, and
I can say that we are now.
I think we're going to see a few trades tonight, and I think a bunch of trades will involve active players. We see it a few times in the draft. It happened last year in the second round with the Subban trade to the Devils, which hasn't been overly a success, but also hasn't been overly a train wreck. And remember, I'm a New Jersey fan, Speedy.
To welcome them to our league,
but
and to be amazed.
There are a lot of trades, obviously, that happen sometimes in the first round. One of the biggest trades, actually, from a few years in New Jersey involved my first two favorite teams with successes on the trade. The Devils got Schneider, and the Canucks got Horgan.
Belongs to the New York Rangers. New York Rangers, you are on the clock.
All right, New York's on the clock, but we all know they're going Lafreniere here. They got a 5-minute timer on the clock. They'll probably wait about 2 minutes to try to see if they can get some calls coming in. They're talking right now, probably trying to get some calls on other general managers. But if they don't get anything absolutely successful, you hope Ekman Larson gets traded. Oh, wow. I assume you're a Coyotes fan. Why? He's a good captain. I know he has a large cap hit, but who's going to be your experienced guy? Who's going to be your leader? Hjalmarsson? Like, he's a good leader, but I don't expect him to be the captain. That's their one face. Besides the brilliance of Kemper, you don't have a face when Ekman Larson leaves. Who's your guy to represent? Who's the guy that's like, oh, that's the Coyotes. They have like Keller's a great scorer. Who's the guy that's going to be the spirit of your team? I don't think you trade Ekman Larson yet, unless you really believe you have the guy. Because I believe they have something.
Is what you see is what you get, but it's a special moment for him and his family. He's used the extra time to get bigger, stronger, faster, hitting the gym every day. He's now 6'2", 200.
The last two big-time first-round selections that the Rangers have hit on was in the 1990s and the 2000s. In the 1990s, they drafted Alexander Kovalev, who was huge on their team and helped win the Stanley Cup, as well as the drafting in 2009 of a Ranger still on the team. Obviously, Henrik Lundqvist, but that was in the 7th round. In the first round, they hit on in 2009 Chris Kreider. But today it seems, you have to go and get Lafreniere. Obviously, we'll see how that will pan out.
I think we're going to hear that a lot tonight from a lot of different players. But you see him comparing competitors on that.
I see it like Mikko Rantanen. Big players that drive the middle.
They're comparing Rantanen. I don't like to compare. If I would have to compare this Lafreniere kid, I do actually liken him to another Colorado Avalanche player. No, not Nathan McKinnon, but Gabriel Landeskog. He's very similar to Landeskog in that remark. He's big. He can move the puck. If he can get a better defensively and also a guy that physical and also a guy that will get better on his injuries, is going to be one of the all-time players that come out of this draft.
So Alexi Lafreniere sits there with his family and waits. Rangers fans waiting on this rebuild, but it's been kind of a radical rebuild. But we take you back to the beginning of this. Because in February 2018, the letter to the fans, this idea that they want to make some changes, have competitive players that combine speed, skill, character, but you may lose some familiar faces in the process, guys that we all care about, but we're trying to ensure that we're building a foundation to be a Stanley Cup contender. That means key players traded for draft capital, some big names on that list, and then you go out and you draft Kawakako, and you make
I'm talking right now about this Ranger rebuild that has worked. They technically have made the playoffs. They were able to. They got swept, but they were able to compete with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Future, but this is the man who has been a long time face of the franchise. Henrik Lundqvist
They're talking about how Lundqvist left. He'll go to a team, probably St. Louis, Colorado, one of those hockey clubs at the end of the year. I thought he'll go in the trade deadline, but no. And also, they're talking about trades. This one doesn't impact the future as much because the pick wasn't that huge. But they also traded away Mark Stahl to the Detroit Red Wings. And what about Ottawa and all their draft picks? As I said, I'm going to do it in a way. I'm not going to do a full mock draft. We're going to do it in a way where we wait till they pick, and I'll tell you who I think they'll pick.
Quinn just became a better head coach because they're going to draft Alexis Lafreniere. There's nothing wrong with that. To me, the biggest thing about the Rangers, how much fun they're going to be to watch. And they're going to
got into that expanded postseason. They went in, quickly exited, but this is a team that was exciting. They were fun to watch down the stretch of the regular season. They have some talented players in Zibanejad. They have Panarin. They have some young goalies.
Rangers selection is in. They waited till the end of the timing, but we're pretty sure we know it's Lafreniere when Commissioner's in.
The 2020 NHL draft will be made by New York Rangers general manager.
Here we go, guys.
With the first pick in the 2020 NHL draft, the New York Rangers are proud to select from the Rimouski Oceanic, Alexi Lafreniere.
He goes to the Rangers at 1, which we expected, but that's where he goes. And so Lafreniere is officially, finally, a New York Ranger. Well, technically not. He has to sign his contract. But he goes to the Rangers. Now we get the Kings at number 2.
Turns 19. He joins the New York Rangers. It's a different draft, but he still gets the sweater, puts it on. Now a member of the New York Rangers. Craig, let's talk about impact with this guy because, let's face it, as a Rangers fans, they figure big city, number 1 pick. They want to see some instant impact, and you believe this is a guy who can make that.
No question in my mind, Rhea. He's ready to contribute. What does contributing mean? It means that you're going to get 6.
Sure, of course, Lafreniere, some plays he makes. I mean, this guy's big time. So, big body, great stick skills. I'd like to see him a bit more physical and a bit more better defensively, but he's very good with the puck. And he can make those plays that you're going to have to make. Obviously, everybody's going, oh, first overall pick. First overall pick doesn't always work, but I'll tell you, Jack Hughes is going to be a lot better next year. This isn't a Soapy Devils fan speaking. He's going to be a lot better next year. So you can't dispute first overall picks. So he goes, and Lafreniere will be very good for the Rangers next year. Number 2, I think you go Byfield here. Timothy Stutzel's an awesome player, but they're definitely going to go Byfield for the Kings, in my opinion.
Obviously, he's got a pretty large father as well. But to me, the biggest thing about
I think Ottawa. Well, we'll wait for Ottawa when we get there. But right now, yeah, the Kings are on the clock. They're getting ready for their.
By example, a dominant player. You know, Craig drafted
Their second overall selection, which I would have to say would be Byfield.
In his game as well, he just got inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. That's pretty high praise. This is a very special player.
One thing we know for sure is that he won't be able to wear his favorite number for the New York Rangers. That's number 11. I think it's taken twice, actually, retired twice. Mark Messier, Vic Hatfield. Lafreniere's second favorite number is number 9. Sorry, out of luck on that one too. Adam Graves and Andy Bathgate. I do believe that Lafreniere has, in his own mind, come up with a number that he'd like to wear, but it's a closely guarded secret. I don't want to get into the counterfeit sales. That is actually a serious problem. But in any case, we'll find out.
11th ranked, and now look at Askarov is there too, which is huge. Devils got to draft him, but. So, taking a look at who players that were picked top 3 draft that have helped in the last few times. Malkin Crosby in Pittsburgh, Taves Kane in Chicago, Stamkos Hedman in Tampa, Draisaitl McDavid in Edmonton, and the first 3 guys actually won Stanley Cups. So now Lafreniere, the list is saying they can play with Kakko. I don't think he will play with Gabo Kakko, but okay. So now the TV coverage is talking about it, as I've tried to bring up the LA Kings now. They again would have to go to Quentin Byfield. Now, Byfield is a guy. He's a larger type player. He picks up the body. He does all these things. That is really, it's really influential. It really helps in a hockey game for a hockey team, especially.
For this team, you have Quentin Byfield, you have Tim Stützle, 2 different players, a left wing and a center. Take me inside the decision-making process for this organization right now.
Well, it's very close. It's really 6-5 pick'em if you want to put it that way. If you survey NHL teams, you'll get more or less an even split. We put Stützle at number 2 over Byfield on our rankings, but only by the slimmest of margins. I mean,
Stützle and Byfield are. Of course, the thing Quentin Byfield quite interesting would be if he goes higher than 4th overall Byfield, which is really cool. He would be the first African American player. Well, not American, he's Canadian, but for drafted the highest, which would be really cool. But apart from that, this guy's big. He's strong. He can shoot the puck hard, and Stützle's a bit of a lankier guy, and he's a bit of a project. And to me, it's quite interesting because when you look at both of those players, I think Byfield fits really well as a King, and Stützle would fit really well as a Senator. Although, as I will say, I don't think he's going there. I will tell you who I think Ottawa is taking. In fact, I'm kind of getting a little giddy right now. I apologize because I'm doing the draft process in my head. And the next 2 picks go the way I think they will. So we'll be able to team up with Sider in Detroit as a Red Wing fan as well, being their second favorite team. All right, so they're soon going to announce the pick right now. King's still on the clock. They have not officially made the decision. They just haven't phoned in yet, but you know it's there. Pick it in. Okay, so I'm getting ready for that now for the second overall selection.
We'll see who they take. Let's go to the commissioner.
And here we go.
The second selection in the 2020 NHL draft will be made by Vice President and General Manager of Los Angeles Kings.
The Los Angeles Kings are proud to select with the second pick in the 2020 NT draft from Sudbury Wolves of the Ontario Hockey League, Quentin Byfield.
So he goes number 2 to the Kings, as I expected. Quentin Byfield is an LA King. And what a huge player, obviously, for, size, but also impact for the Kings. This guy, in my opinion, out of all the players out there, I know they said Lafreniere, but this player I know for a fact will make the Kings roster on opening night. He will. So Byfield will play for LA. Will play with Kopitar. This guy he probably won't play with him on the same line, but I really think it's going to be fun to watch this guy play for the Kings. The Kings need youth. The Kings need depth. And they lucked out on this whole lottery thing. This guy, he's more physical than Lafreniere, but he can also shoot the puck hard, and well, very similar. Oh, excuse me. Very similar to Kopitar's they were showing. And the length by body and also by player, by both of those guys, I think the skill is a little bit more with Kopitar, obviously, as an NHL player. And a few other players, just the skill, like the dangling and some of these crazy plays is more there. But, you know, this guy doesn't need that. He's got the physicality. He's got the smarts. He's a really just big-time guy. So now that that's done, Byfield to the Kings. We know that. So here comes the Ottawa pick. Everyone is really wondering Ottawa.
We have not used the phrase tremendous upside yet. We have to use that phrase.
And for Ottawa, I say this. Do they go Stutzel? I don't think they do. For Ottawa, now I can finally answer that question. I think Ottawa goes, not Sanderson, but, excuse me, but Jamie Drysdale, I think, becomes an Ottawa Senator here. I think they go for another defenseman. They go for some more help on the back end because the Ottawa right now, in a few years, is going to have one of the most devastating defensive pairings in both three units, especially if they get this either Sanderson or Drysdale for the Senators. Senators with 3:30 left on the clock on their pick.
Quinton Byfield is represented by agent Jeff Jackson of the Wasserman Or Hockey Group. So is Connor McDavid. Quinton Byfield played his minor hockey with York Simcoe Express. Well, so did Connor McDavid. Now, he's not Connor McDavid, and he's not Eric Lindros either, although when you see the physical dimension that he's got, that sort of man amongst boys presence in the Ontario Hockey League, you could be forgiven for thinking that. He's not as physically punishing as Eric Lindros at all, but he can use his size to dominate his peer group.
And it shows some stuff on Byfield. That's what I've been saying. This guy's just physical. This guy is a real workhorse, and I think the Kings are really going to like what they've got. And I thought Lafreniere is a King, but I really think now, looking at some of these numbers, that Byfield just he really fits with the Kings. The best fit for the LA Kings to go and grab in the draft, even if Lafreniere was there, and the best fit for him to play with, especially as he's a lot like
Kopitar. I know you're semi-retired. Are you telling us that eventually you're going into fashion reporting? Is that the next step?
I'm auditioning for a spot on the red carpet. You get that done? And it was worth noting too that Tim Stutzel, and I don't know if we'll have to find out if this is by accident or not. He's also fashioning the bow tie. So the bow tie is in the 2020 draft.
Very good.
Well, I mean, it's Quinton Byfield. That's what he is. And, Bob just talked about him getting comfortable under the big spotlight. And once he does it, trust me, he's going to get comfortable. He has a chance to be.
Now some more Byfield stuff. You're looking around. This guy, now seeing some of these highlights, wasn't able to check up on him. What a skater. What a skater is this guy. He's a position. Like the player, he's going to play his position. He's going to use his body through. He's got skating skills a la Gustav Nyquist. He is that type of player. Just again, I'll echo what I said before. The perfect player for the Kings to draft and the perfect player to come in for the Kings. So, yeah, Ottawa for me. They could trade down here if they wanted to. I don't think they'll trade 3 at all. They could trade 5. I don't believe a lot of these guys are saying Stutzel. I'm telling you, in my mind, this is Jamie Drysdale all the way.
He's not just a scoring winger; he's a playmaking winger as well. So he's a multi-dimensional weapon. He really is.
This guy, these Ottawa Senators, I really believe are going to go and take.
Well, he's massively creative. He's got an imagination for the game and for playmaking that is tremendous.
Take Drysdale. He's smiling a little bit, which would say possibly drafted, but he hasn't gotten a call yet. The Senators are going to pick in a few seconds, though. So I'm getting you guys ready to go to that pick. As just waiting for the pick is now in. So let's head over and take a listen.
Number 3. 3, the Senators.
To make the third selection in the 2020 NHL Draft, the Senators have enlisted the services of a special guest who also happens to be a graduate of the University of Ottawa.
Oh, wow.
Is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
That was on.
Thank you,
It's
Johnny.
called. That's
Hi, everyone,
pretty
and
crazy.
welcome to Jeopardy. Our category today is the NHL, and here is the clue for you. With the third pick in the 2020 NHL Draft, the Ottawa Senators choose this player. The correct response: who is Tim Stützle?
Okay, I'm wrong. That was pretty crazy, and that was a lot of fun. But I'm wrong. Anyway, so Stützle goes. I was really hoping Stützle was going to go to Detroit, but no. Stützle goes, not Drysdale. So yeah, that was fun. that was a fun little adventure that we had. No one expected. He's a Senators fan. He's from Ottawa. I know that. But now Drysdale will go. No, Stützle will become the highest German ever drafted over Draisaitl, who's drafted 4th to Edmonton. He goes 3rd to Ottawa. So he will play with the Senators. Oh, I just thought Draisaitl was 4. I guess he was 3. So he's tied it up, but he is one of the highest German drafted players, and he will help this Ottawa team, obviously, offensively, depth. He works there. I thought they were going to go defensively, but they do go with Stützle. And Stützle now, he's a passer. The two guys we saw could shoot the puck, especially Byfield. But this guy, what this guy does is he sets the puck up. He's very, and I don't want this to seem negative because it's very negative connotation for the NHL last season, but he's very Jack Hughes-like because Jack Hughes could do that, and you'll watch, he will pass the puck really well and just be able to, get it in there and just set it up.
One in any year, we could see 3. I know you said Danny Heatley on there, born in Germany, played for Team Canada though. But this could already a big night for German hockey. It could be an even bigger night for German hockey as 2 more German players could go in the first round.
And step through that type of player. Stützle is just a team guy.
That's not who we compare.
Team guy, playmaker, that type of hocky player, Stützle.
Absolutely, Lee.
And it also explains something I didn't know. There are 2 Germans today that could potentially go in the first round. But we know that one is off the board. That's Stützle at 3 to Ottawa.
He always allows for the next opportunity. And if you're playing with Tim Stützle, you best be ready. Because he's understanding where the opponent is breaking down, and then he's ready to take advantage.
That's another guy to be excited to see when he plays, because playmaker all the way. This is that guy. They are comparing him to Kane, although Kane has a bit of a better shot than Stützle has. Again, though, Kane has played for over 10 years in the National Hockey League. Stützle literally just got drafted about a minute ago. I like that Stützle was there. I just thought that Ottawa maybe should have gone for a defenseman. So now Detroit is ready to pick.
Interesting because this was a team that was right there on the verge. 2017, 1 away from making the Stanley Cup final, 1 goal away from making the Stanley Cup final. But since 2018,
well, Detroit is interesting because they went for the defenseman that could change the game. They got him last year. They legit got this guy last year for all of the big-time moments, of course. Where do I think Oskarov will go? New Jersey Devils. For a while ago, I think he'll go.
Particularly, and they knew that this 2020 draft was going to be very good. They started to stockpile picks.
But Drysdale,
it's already started to pay off.
Drysdale's there defensively. The Red Wings have picked defensively, and I get that he's the best player. But really interesting, Eiserman has another make-or-break team. Astroff, my team, yeah. The Devils are my first favorite team. My second team is Vancouver, and then Detroit. But New Jersey is my team, number one. You're a Colorado fan. Okay. Your team's really good. I have to tell you, I just don't like the Avalanche. I never have. They've had rivalries with all three of my teams. They've had to beat one of my teams at least once to win the Stanley Cup. They beat my second favorite team both times to win the Stanley Cup. I just don't like the Avalanche, but I respect your team a lot. You got a great franchise. And speaking of great franchises, the 4 Hockey Town flags flying to the Red Wings. They got a whole booth up. Eisenman's there. Everybody in management for the Detroit Red Wings. Obviously, reminding that Eisenman was picked number 4 overall by Detroit. Led the team to 3 Stanley Cup championships. And also the last 4th overall selection for the Detroit Red Wings. Eisenman selected last year, and that was Maurice Seider.
But Steve Eisman won't be there. The statement from the team here, participate remotely for both days of the draft, was exposed recently to an individual who tested positive for COVID-19. Steve Eisman has received multiple negative test results. He's experiencing no symptoms, but this is all out of an abundance of caution, so we certainly wish him well, but he is not in that room as they make this selection. But Craig, I will go to you because the first 3, we knew that would be the 3. We weren't sure the order of 2 and 3, but we knew those 3 guys were in. It gets interesting now. Where do you?
They said that they thought Stutzel was going 3, but I know Eisenman's in charge. I know. I was very happy when he got the game.
They need a number 1 goaltender. They need a number 1 defenseman. They need number 1 wingers. They need centermen. So Steve Eisenman's going to have those options. If he wants a goaltender, he can take a scar off defenseman.
So Ostroff there. Okay, so if I have to say for Detroit, I think Rossi would be a fun pick for them to make, but I think he will go Drysdale. I'm going Drysdale again. I'm riding that train. Peretti's another guy they could go with, but I'm saying Drysdale.
Detroit Red Wings, here for Craig. It's a team that needs pretty much.
Red Wings pick is in, so we'll see what the selection will be, guys.
Time ticking down. We go to the commissioner for the selection for the Red Wings.
For the 4th selection overall.
The 4th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft will be made by Detroit Red Wings Director of Amateur Scouting, Chris Draper.
Oh, there's Drapes, and he actually looks pretty nice.
With the 4th pick in the 2020 entry draft, the Detroit Red Wings are very excited to select from Frölunda, Lucas Raymond.
They get the Swede. I was thinking of him, but the guy that wasn't supposed to go top 4 after this season, but the one that outplayed the other one, Lucas Raymond, goes to Detroit. They know they're Swedes. The last time, obviously, you want to think of the Euro twins, Zetterberg. But Lucas Raymond is a lot different of that type of player, but he's a winger that can shoot the puck. I'm surprised, but I'm pleasantly surprised. Like, I didn't know what to make of Seider. I like this pick.
Last year was something he had no control over, and that was that he was playing so far down in the lineup in Frölunda that when the NHL scouts went to see him, he'd only play 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes a game, and that he wasn't in a position to make an impact in the game. He's doing that now. When he's in his peer group, he can make an impact. In the Under-18 World Championship a couple of Aprils ago, he stepped up for a hat trick. It was absolutely dynamic.
Raymond, this guy he's goal scorer. He, again, has to get a little bit more polished, but he's a goal scorer, and the Red Wings need a lot of goal scorers. So Raymond goes to Detroit, and now the surprises are going to come flying off because Ottawa's got another pick. Here's the really interesting thing. I'll go right back to the Raymond analysis. But here's the really interesting thing. I talked about how, there's Jimmy Drysdale to go get him as a defenseman. And actually it made more sense to get Stutzel because now if they want to get him, they can get Drysdale or they can get the other defenseman. Cannot speak. Sanderson. They can go select these players if they want to go do that. They can go get some other centermen that are out there. The Ottawa Senators have a lot of a lot of opportunities. But Raymond, this is really the Red Wings are away. They are not close. So to get a goal scorer, that's a great pick by Detroit. They don't have another selection in this draft, which isn't great for them, but they've got a goal scorer. And to pair him with Larkin, you know he'll also make the opening night team, probably. He's got the offense that they need. I'd love to see him play with a guy like Anthony Mantha, though, who's a goal scorer but a bigger guy and really needs to get the puck. And when you don't have Larkin on the ice, Mantha, it's very hard for him to get the puck with the offensive players on the ice. So if you put in a guy like Lucas Raymond, he should help this team. So here we go on the stat sheet here in Ottawa. Drysdale's available, Peretti's available, Sanderson's available, Rossi. The other Swede, Alexander Holtz, is also there, as well as Jack Quinn and Askarov, the goaltender. Now, Ottawa does kind of have a little bit of a goaltender issue, but I don't think they'll jump at 5 for Yaroslav Askarov. I don't know if they'll go defenseman here. I don't really want to jump on Jimmy Drysdale just yet. I think they will go Cole Peretti. Cole Peretti, number 4. Just so you want to know on nationality, right now it has gone Canadians number 1 and 2, 1 French, 1 English-speaking Ontario, that side. Well, 1 Quebec law, 1 Ontario Canadian, then a German, and then now a Swede. So we'll see how it goes. They have Lothian is available, as well as the American defenseman Sanderson. But I think they'll go with Cole Peretti, the center. I just don't see Drysdale going out for Ottawa. I think Peretti is the go for the Senators.
Either way, now that's not to suggest that they couldn't seriously consider Cole Perfetti from the Saginaw Spirit, a really gifted and skilled forward, because I think Lucas Raymond would have been a player at 5 that the Ottawa Senators would have jumped all over, but with Steve Yzerman taking him at number 4, I think now the likelihood that you're going to see a defenseman go is extremely high. And as we
they're saying Drysdale, I'm going to go with Peretti. I could be wrong, but I think they'll go with Peretti. I don't think Drysdale's sitting long, though. I have an idea where he will go. I'm saying Peretti to Ottawa, but where Drysdale will go, I'm almost exact in where he will go, and it's very safe.
Drysdale, 5'11", under 6 feet. Cole Perfetti, under 6 feet as a forward. Will the size slip from a couple of spots in the first round?
Also, if Drysdale goes here, I think another player of his position might go next. I think you might have back-to-back defenseman picks.
Thomas Chabot, a premier defenseman. They have Eric Brandstrom. They have Lassie Thompson, a first-round draft pick, and Jacob Bernard Docker. All I know is if they take Drysdale, they're getting a really good right shot defenseman. If they take Jake Sanderson, they're getting a really good left shot defenseman that's only going to make that entire defense that much better.
If it's Sanderson, it's the first American selected in this year's draft. For the Ottawa Senators, 3 picks in the first round, 2 in the top 5. They looked at this draft.
So here we go.
A moment for their franchise as they try to rebuild.
Ottawa has made their pick. We are ready for pick 5.
The 5th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft will be made by Ottawa Senators General Manager Pierre Dorion.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Alex Trebek for helping us with our 3rd selection. We'd also like to welcome Tim Stützle to the organization. Les Sénateurs d'Ottawa sont très fiers de choisir. The Ottawa Senators are real proud to select from the United States National Development Program and the University of North Dakota, Jake Sanderson.
They go for the defenseman, but they don't go for the defenseman that they were thinking about. They go for Sanderson. He goes 5th overall. So now he won't play for Ottawa. It doesn't look like he will. It looks like he'll play for North Dakota for another season, but he goes to Ottawa, and Yeah, since 2, we've had country changes. Now we get the first American off the board at 5 to Ottawa.
This is a character defenseman with tremendous peripheral vision, outstanding skater, big-time player. Most teams.
And yeah, again, I continue that trend with high drafted Americans playing in Canadian markets. So he goes to play for the Ottawa Senators, and this is also the first player from Montana that'll play in an NHL game, and he'll play with the Ottawa Senators. Physical guy, can move the puck. He's that player. Now, I'm going Drysdale again next pick for Anaheim. That's what I was saying. I thought because Anaheim has, for the last about 10 seasons until the last 3, unbelievable depth at defense. Now they've lost it. They need more depth defensively. So I think they go Drysdale at 6. There's no reason for them to go Askarov because they've got a goaltender right now who is close to his prime if he's not in his prime. And he will be in his prime when all of these goaltenders now start retiring. This is going to be one of the best players in a long time in this league, in John Gibson. He's already been so great for the Ducks. There's no reason for Askarov. They do need more offense, but I think Drysdale for Anaheim. But this is really interesting because the thought was Drysdale, but they go for Sanderson. So this American-born defenseman is just a physical, offensive puck lugger. But the thing with Sanderson is Sanderson can shoot from about anywhere as they're comparing him to Morrissey, where Morrissey is a bit better with his stick, but a bit more skilled offensively is Derek Sanderson. Also, he'll be the second Derek Sanderson to play in the NHL after the original Derek Sanderson, not related, who played for, or is it Jake Sanderson, not Derek? Why am I saying Derek? But Jake Sanderson will be good. So now Anaheim is on the clock. He's also American defenseman in the last 8 seasons to be drafted in the top 10 since Trouba in 2012, Seth Jones in 2013, Noah Hannafin in 2015, Zach Werenski in 2015 as well, Quinn Hughes, who was drafted 2 years ago and is a superstar, and now Sanderson.
There as well, to become the first player from Montana to play in an NHL game.
Played minor hockey in Calgary, Alberta, as Greg correctly pointed out, and obviously has those great Canadian bloodlines from Dad Jeff, of course, from Hay River, North.
Don't take away our one American prospect here.
I know it's an anomaly this year that there's only 2 Americans ranked in the first round, but Sanderson is a good one, and I should point out that both those Americans have Canadian fathers, but nevertheless, Liam, to your point,
and so Sanderson he will make a real big impact for Ottawa. He played minors and juniors in Calgary and Ottawa, so he understands that he will be big time for the Senators. And obviously, Sanderson was not expected to go ahead of Drysdale. He does go ahead of Drysdale, but as I've said, I don't think Drysdale will be sitting long. I think Drysdale will only sit for about 1:50, which is how much time Anaheim has on the clock. He fits really well with Anaheim. I thought the Ducks were going to go Sanderson here. The fact that Drysdale is there, who was ranked the best defenseman, and I think he thought he was going out. And, it even looked like when they showed everyone getting congratulatory that Sanderson didn't expect to be taken in the top 5. But he does go to the top 5. I will tell you, though, if Drysdale does not go to Anaheim, I'd be very concerned to where he would go. And then the Devils actually would have a bit of a stranger decision because they need a goaltender, but they also need a top defenseman.
I appreciate you bringing it
It's really going to depend
program there because
on
this is our guy. Don't take him.
On where Anaheim goes.
Jake Sanderson. Now we go to the next pick, though, and it's Anaheim. And because Sanderson goes at 5 here, does this set up Jamie Drysdale?
I think that's probably the direction that Bob Murray wants to go. I think he would have preferred a bigger player. No disrespect. Donald or Drysdale's a very good player. He's an outstanding player, and he's an elite puck mover. But I think Anaheim really wants to go defense.
So, Greg, would you agree? Is this pick set up just
So Drysdale, yeah, I'm saying they're agreeing with me. They're saying Anaheim. I'm saying Anaheim.
Drysdale would be the logical pick here because I do believe that Anaheim was much more predisposed to take a defenseman than a forward, and the 2 defensemen at the top of this draft are Drysdale and Sanderson. So this one would seem to be a no-brainer for the Ducks.
Looks like they wanted Sanderson. He was a bit bigger, but they'll probably go take Drysdale, and here we go.
6 is in as we go back to the commissioner.
Anaheim Ducks Executive Vice President and General Manager Bob Murray will make the 6th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft.
It's the moment we've all been waiting for. The pick is in.
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 The pick is in. The pick is in.
The pick is in.
The pick is in.
The pick is in.
The pick is in.
The pick is in.
The pick is in, guys.
With the 6th pick in the 2020 draft, the Anaheim Ducks are proud to select from the Erie Otters, Jamie Drysdale.
Yep. As expected, that's where they go.
Jamie Drysdale is the selection.
So Jamie Drysdale goes to the Ducks. And they get the defenseman that they wanted, that they needed. And so for this guy is he's skilled, he's physical. Oh, now they're going to commercial finally, but they'll come back. Drysdale, yeah, so he goes to the Ducks. He'll help, obviously, defensively and just depth-wise, of course, for them. But, yeah, he goes to... He goes... But he goes, yeah. He goes to Anaheim. Filling a need. And he just, that is really good for them to go take. It looks like after this commercial break, they'll probably have, the pick will probably be in for New Jersey. If any of you don't know, again.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on our car insurance with Geico. I got snacks. Oh, I got popcorn. I got
They have to, New Jersey. Yaroslav Astro.
Believe it. Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
To me, again, I'll say it again. You don't really know what you have goaltending-wise. You have a chance to draft a guy with your window not open that can just sit and learn and develop and be the big-time guy. You've never had an all-time goaltender since Brodeur. You need one back desperately. That's how your whole franchise is guided around defense and goaltenders. And the top 2 defensemen are out. There's just random centers and wingers. It's exactly as I expected. Just good centers, good wingers floating around. They're good. They have good numbers. But you have a goaltender that's projected to be big all time. And you don't draft him, and then he does good with another team, you'll never hear it from your fans. The Devils have to take Yaroslav Askarov. They have to take this guy And the thing with the Devils is they weren't sold on really anyone. So Askarov makes the most sense. This is the latest they've drafted since 2016.
Top 6 picks are in right now. The New Jersey Devils
Devils have to go for Askarov. It just would make the most sense.
It was the New York Rangers selecting Alexei Lafreniere. Just a few moments ago, he chatted with Jamie.
They've got 2:35 left on the clock for the Devils. We'll see when they go take this pick.
You are now a member of the New York Rangers franchise. What was it like to hear your name as the first overall pick of this year's draft?
It's a big honor for me. Obviously, Rangers, the New York Rangers is a big organization with a lot of history and a lot of great players. So for me, it's a big honor, and I'm really excited to join this team.
You become the first Quebecois player to be drafted first overall since 2003. What do you think it means to the Quebec community, the hockey community overall, to have a Quebecois player drafted first overall?
Hopefully, man, it makes sense a lot. I'm really hoping. We need this guy. I need this. I need this player now. And it's not even the Devils. I just need this guy, like the goaltender. You have to understand also the history of me as a hockey fan. For the Devils, especially as goaltenders as they've ran, my favorite athlete of all time will always be Marty Brodeur. This guy is no Marty Brodeur, but to get a goaltender to be your franchise is huge because you can win games you have no business winning by goaltending, and then you can develop your team in further. The fact being, Alexa, stop. Excuse me for that. The fact being that your team will be pressured because if they don't play their best game, or even if they're playing great, you can still know that you can lose because your goaltender is not all on his rocker. Now, he's not going to be that. He's not going to play this year, next year, the year after that, but he'll probably be ready in a few years. And the fact that you'll have a guy for the next 10 years, 15 years, ready to win for you is huge. So the Devils are getting ready for this pick. Now, the Devils need some things. They need defensemen. They need wingers. They don't need a ton of centers, but they do need probably another center.
Well, I think scoring winger. If you look at the way the New Jersey Devils are constructed, they've had Nico Hischier, they've had Jack Hughes.
They're saying winger. Peretti can play wing. Holtz also. Quinn as well. There's a few good wingers. There's a bunch of centers that can also play wingers. But to me, you have to draft Yaroslav, Askarov. You've got to draft the goalie. Pick is in. Let's figure out if the Devils disappointed me or if somehow they made the right decision.
And I would say the correspondence on Alexander Holtz, I think, might be the pick. All right, let's see the Devils take.
New Jersey Devils general manager Tom Fitzgerald will make the 7th selection in the 2020.
For the Florida Panther, obviously, Tom Fitzgerald, their general manager.
The New Jersey Devils are proud to select from Djurgården right winger Alexander Holtz.
Come on! I apologize, guys. I'm just... God. I like this Alexander Holtz kid. I heard he's a good player. He played well in the Swedish Elite League. He actually had the best season out of the Swedish Elite Hockey League player. But, man, you had the goaltender, franchise goaltender on the board, and you didn't pick him. And you know somebody like Minnesota is going to go up and grab him. You know it's going to happen in a few. It's not going to happen here, but it's going to happen in a few picks.
Who's an exceptionally creative centerman, and Nico Hischier, a very good.
I get that this guy is good. I like that they picked a European winger. I love that style of hockey. So I think I'm gonna love Holtz. I like the pick that they would get a guy like him, but not in front of a goaltender that could be your franchise. Although, you know what? Let's see, because the Devils have 2 more picks. The next pick, I believe, is at 18. So maybe.
and Jack Hughes. And
Holtz will be good. We'll see if he'll play this year, but maybe they can get Askarov later on. So we'll see. If they get Askarov later on and also with Holtz, then this is a star draft. We'll see what happens. Obviously, now we go to number 8, and Buffalo is on the clock. Peretti has still fell.
25 goals. So they clearly need scoring from the wings. They had those two creative centers in the bottom three we're talking about.
I think they have to go Peretti here. If you're the Sabres, you've got to go Peretti because they need center depth. There's thoughts that Eichel, you want to get Eichel some help offensively. There's a guy that can help him. Marco Rossi's there, but Peretti, people know what Peretti is. I think he goes to Buffalo.
You mentioned Lucas Raymond, his teammate over in Sweden. He was selected at number 4. He had this to say about Holtz. He's great. If he gets an opportunity to put it in the net, he will do it 9 times out of 10. This guy's a goal scorer and amazing shooter. We look ahead, though. The Devils, their pick is in. Buffalo Sabres now on the clock. 3 minutes left for them to make their selection at number 8. All right, they come out. They said Jack Eichel is not going anywhere, but this is a team and this.
But again, I will clarify as well, once again, Holtz is a good player. I like him. I think he will be great for the Devils. But at some point in the draft, if you can come away with it, you've got to go and get your franchise goaltender. They've got to go get Askarov later. I'm hoping that some of these playoff teams, like these qualifier teams, will go right on their needs, not knees, that sounds bad, needs, and just look over the goaltender. If I can look at some of these teams, I'll see if there's any team that really has a big goalie need.
He's a guy that I think is somebody Buffalo has on their minds.
They missed the playoffs the last 9 seasons.
Toronto has their guy. They do need kind of a backup. It doesn't look like they'll go there.
Well, no, since back in 2007. Craig, where do you think the Sabres go here?
Edmonton looks like they'll get a goalie in the trade deadline. The only team I could see really jumping at the goalie, and of course, it's the pick before New Jersey's second pick, and that's Chicago. I could see that. This is also to say, though, that trades are not made, because we know that trades will be made at some point.
Cole Perfetti is a tremendous fit to me as a left winger playing with smart centermen like Eichel and Cousins. You know, Jack Quinn is a goal scorer. I think he's the best goal scorer in the draft. It'll be interesting what they need to do, but I think the type of player they need is clear. What's become obvious? What's become obvious here right now is with Cole Perfetti. And not a big player, not small, necessarily small, but 5'10", 5'11", perhaps. You've got Marco Rossi at 5'9", from the Ottawa 67s. And both of these guys right now are still very much on the board. They're both offensive threats. They can complement the players that the Buffalo Sabres have. But to what Pierre was talking about, a lot of people believe that Jack Quinn might be the premier goal scorer in this draft. Now, Perfetti might want to argue with that somewhere along the line, but nevertheless, those are things we're watching here.
Buffalo obviously trying to make the playoffs. They haven't made the playoffs in 9 years.
I'm fed up with the losing. I'm fed up. I'm frustrated. I'm a competitor. I want to win every time I go out on the ice. I want to win the Stanley Cup every time I start the season. We saw a first-time GM make the pick at number 7. We're going to see another make the pick at number 9. Bill Guerin makes his first pick with the Wild, and now here.
Now the Buffalo pick is in, guys. Let's go. I'm saying Peretti. We'll see.
As GM, as we go back to the commissioner.
The 8th selection in the 2020 NHL draft will be made by Buffalo Sabres general manager Kevin Adams.
We would first like to congratulate the Tampa Bay Lightning on their Stanley Cup championship and also say thank you to everyone at the National Hockey League for all the great work they did under challenging circumstances. The Buffalo Sabres are proud to announce from the Ottawa 67s and the Ontario Hockey League, Jack Quinn.
Jack Quinn! Oh, that one threw me off. A good player, but Peretti, there's always some guy that will drive. And Peretti's the guy that does. A lot of people thought Drysdale King, he kind of dropped, but he didn't drop in a specific way where he was going to go number 2 and number 3, and it was a team that needed him defensively. He didn't go ahead of the guy that they thought he was going to go ahead of, which was Sanderson, but he does go. But here is the drop of Panetti. But obviously, have to give the props for Jack Quinn. This guy's scoring machine.
I love Jack Quinn. And, you know, Bob had talked about Alexander Holtz being like David Pastrnak as a comparable. I see David Pastrnak as a comparable for Jack Quinn. I think that he's not a one-trick pony when it comes to scoring. He scores in multiple ways, and he scores from multiple spots on the ice, and he also makes big-time plays, just like David Pastrnak. His coach in Ottawa, Andre Tourigny, used him in every single situation. Even strength, power play.
Jack Quinn, yeah, taking a look at this guy. Sometimes I don't talk because I'm just trying to see exactly what they have. This guy just, he's got an awesome snapshot, man. This guy, sniper, is the thought. A lot of these players, obviously, this guy can shoot the puck, but this, so he goes in to Buffalo. Now he's there, and interestingly enough, besides New York Rangers, now you're going to get into the teams that they still technically did not make the playoffs, but they made the qualifiers. They had playoff hockey in them. And the next team is Minnesota, coming up with the 9th overall selection. And we'll see where they go.
Being eligible for last year's draft by 4 days. And can you imagine if
Minnesota, I would say,
and didn't get to have this,
probably goes Drysdale.
He wouldn't have gone in the first 3 rounds, perhaps.
Although Winnipeg also needs a defenseman. How awesome would that be for the Jets to take a guy like Jamie Drysdale if he does fall to them, specifically because they are so thin defensively?
Yeah, he's very much the real deal, and we want him as a complimentary goal-scoring player to guys like Jack Eichel and now Eric Stahl.
Liam, I'm going to talk about Bob's comment about Fool's Gold. Aaron Judge was like a 30th round draft pick coming out of high school to the Oakland Athletics. Went to school, college, and then became a first round draft pick to the New York Yankees. Just watch how a player plays, watch how he progresses, and then try to project what he can do going forward. Jack Quinn is exactly what Aaron Judge was. He may have a similar impact in being a great goal scorer at the NHL level.
Listen, I have a couple of young boys, and these are some inspiring words from Jack Quinn, because he said, being a late bloomer, when I was younger, the AAA teams cut me. It's probably the last year AAA that I got cut where I just told myself that they didn't think I was good enough, but I knew I was. Clearly was, because he goes all the way up at 8 to the Buffalo Sabres.
So Sabres are looking at top 10 picks here.
Buffalo Sabres squad that is desperately trying.
Sens need to trade up for Askarov. MAB, if they do, I will be a very angry man. But if you've heard this entire stream, I've been ranting on how the Devils need Askarov, and they need Askarov like humans need oxygen. I'm hoping Askarov will hold to the 18th selection or the 20th selection, or the Devils trade up to go get him. I'm hoping the Devils can select this guy, and I don't really like the draft if they can't. This guy's a franchise goaltender. And I'd love for him to get it. Also, Ottawa has another selection in this draft, but it would be far later on. We'll see where he goes. The good thing is most of these qualifier teams have goaltenders that are there, and they're young. Minnesota, and I would say, though, one of the 2 teams that would not be in that category, in my opinion, would probably be the Wild and the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks have the 17th selection, right before the Devils' 18th selection, and the Wild are on the clock right now.
Let's look at it, because the Minnesota Wild up next, they pick at number 9, but this is a team that's been very busy in the days leading up to the draft.
But yeah, I'm going Panetti. Before, did I say Drysdale for Minnesota to get? I might have said that by accident. That was a brain slip. But no, Panetti to me goes to Minnesota. It would make the most sense.
I believe the New Jersey Devils, the Buffalo Sabres, the Minnesota Wild all thought a little bit about Yaroslav Askarov as a potential top 10 pick in this year's draft. But I think there's too many good offensive players on the board where the general managers of those teams are looking at them and saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't jump on the goalie here. I got to go. The Minnesota Wild want a centerman. And they want a centerman who can play sooner
rather than later. Now, Cole Perfetti plays center in junior, but a lot of NHL scouts view him as maybe he's going to be a winger. Marco Rossi is the top center.
They're saying a lot of the teams didn't really want to go offense here. That they wanted to go offense, that they wouldn't go goaltending, even though the Devils were looking at him. I'm hoping the Devils could get this guy later. That's the point. But Minnesota, off of my Askarov soapbox, onto the Wild, who need a center, and Panetti, the thought was maybe Dawson Mercer, Rossi, but they didn't expect Panetti to be here. But he's here. He is here, and the Wild pick is in. Here we go.
Minnesota Wild Executive Vice President and General Manager Bill Guerin will make the 9th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft.
First, I'd like to say hello to all our great Wild fans across the state of hockey in Minnesota. And a second hello to our assistant GM and brother, Tom Curvers, who's watching from home tonight. Now I'm proud to select with the 9th pick in the 2020 draft from the Ottawa 67s of the OHL, Marco Rossi.
Something is going on with, and it was Austrian, not Latvian, but something is going on with Panetti. Rossi goes to Minnesota. He's the center they get. So now the Jets, the northern neighbors, are ready to draft. Okay, I have no idea what's going on with Panetti. But this is also the teammate of Jack Quinn in the Ottawa 67s, his favorite player, favorite line mate. And this Austrian guy, he goes and plays for the Minnesota Wild. So look forward to Senators Wild games. Sabres Wild games. Only 2 times a year when these two will meet up and play against each other. Quinn for the Sabres and Rossi for Minnesota. So Rossi, this guy, he's got an excellent toe drag, and he's a very smart passer. He's not like a huge playmaker where he's going to pass the puck whenever he can, but he is very smart with the puck. He knows where it should go on the ice. Also, it should be noted that there has been no trades yet in these drafts. But, it wasn't extremely expected. But it was up there. Also, gives you some updates on some other sports going on.
He's much bigger. He might not be as tall as Nicholas Backstrom, but he's sturdy and thick like Nicholas Backstrom.
So a well-traveled guy from Austria to the Ottawa 67s, eventually to the Minnesota Wild. But let's be honest, this is a guy who's used to commuting.
Just so you guys know, also that the A's lost to Houston, so Houston just needs to win one of their 3 games to advance to the ALCS for the 2nd straight season.
His father, Michael, played pro hockey as a defenseman in Austria for 20 years. Had this to say.
Also, I remember that Miami game. I missed that. I know Miami was winning for a little bit, but Atlanta outlasted them. It's 9-5. They lead the series 1-0. The Yankees game is on right now, top of the 1st. The Yankees are on first base. They lead the series 1-0, and there's no score. Now, for Winnipeg, where do you go? Their NBA is on too, but I don't believe that game has started yet.
He's 5'9", but he's not a small player.
The guy that I go here for the Jets, I think the Jets will actually bypass Panetti. Again, I think he will drop some more. I think maybe Seth Jarvis.
He just missed being eligible for last year's draft by 8 days. The good news is that this guy is really dedicated.
They need these defensemen, but there are a lot of good offensive wingers out there that can also play center. And when you looked at how the Jets just pummeled to the ground, plummeted to the ground in that first series, especially with the Mark Scheifele injury to Calgary, they also need offensive depth at center.
All that good news is also, is there that much?
I'm looking, Jarvis is there. I wouldn't say Seth Jarvis, though. I'm looking at Dawson Mercer. He's a guy, to me, that would fit well with the Jets. He can play winger. He can also play center. A bunch of center like these can slide in. Braden Schneider is a good defenseman, But I think the Jets go offense here. I don't think they go Schneider. Schneider will go soon, but not yet. Although the Jets are really in favor of European players, and Anton Lundell would be the first Finn drafted. Where does he go? I don't believe he will go to Winnipeg, though. My final pick for the Jets is to go Dawson Mercer with the 11th selection in the draft.
That much faster, that much stronger, and that much better.
All right, so we go from tremendous upside at the top of the draft to a question of upside as we get a little bit further. Either way, Marco Rossi in there at number 9, and we look ahead. And now the Winnipeg Jets on the clock at number 10. And I think a lot of people were eyeing Winnipeg because I think they're wondering about a trade leading up to this because a lot of talk about Patrick Laine being shopped. Do you see Patrick Laine being on this team when they start the season?
Based on all the noise that's around him, I'd say probably not. Which is unfortunate, obviously, for the Winnipeg Jet fan base. He's a pure scorer. Everybody knows that. One of the things that I saw when I was in the Edmonton bubble, he was playing for Winnipeg. I didn't see a lot of second and third effort from Patrick Laine. That's something I think going forward, whether he's in Winnipeg or not, he's going to have to display to his teammates in particular. But obviously, it's high-end offense from him. And if you're not getting that offense and he's not competing, then he's not helping you win. And that's something they need him to get better at if he stays.
Yeah, he's
Liam, if they do trade Patrick Laine, they're going to need even more offense in their lineup. The best offensive player on the board right now, bar none, is Cole Perfetti. And I've got to believe the Winnipeg Jets are dancing at the opportunity of maybe getting a guy that could be an elite offensive player.
They're saying Perfetti. I've gotten him a few times. I'm not lucky on it, so I'm going right now still with Dawson Mercer to be a Winnipeg Jet. Pick is in. Let's go.
You might have to deal with one way or the other in Winnipeg, so that's a little bit more depth that they don't have. But I would say, again, having spent a lot of time around them in the bubble in Edmonton, Cole Perfetti's a fit there.
And again, if you're planning ahead, go ahead. Yo, please, go ahead.
Just get good players, and Cole Perfetti's a really good player. Are we going to be sitting here in 3-4 years' time talking about Cole Perfetti and how did they get him at 10? You know, like Braden Point, how did they get him in the 3rd round? It makes no sense. Just get good players. Perfetti's a good player.
That being said, I don't think 3 or 4 years after they took Patrick Laine, we talk about him being possibly traded, but we'll see. Here we go, number 10.
Winnipeg Jets general manager Kevin Cheveldayoff will be making the 10th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft.
As this coming season marks our 10th year in the history of our franchise in Winnipeg, and tonight we make the 10th overall selection, I would like to invite Crystal Hawerchuk, wife of Dale Hawerchuk, the greatest number 10 in Winnipeg Jets history, to make our selection. Crystal?
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. But first, our family would like to thank
Rest in peace to Dale, one of the great players in
Dale's
NHL history,
loyal
of
fans
course.
and friends for their love and support through his
What
very tough
a hockey
life.
player. What a guy he was. Whoa, sorry.
He was a great hockey player and a very special man. I want you to know that he loved Winnipeg and always felt a special connection to the people of Manitoba. We both consider Winnipeg our home. Your love and support meant so much to him. Thank you. Now I am thrilled to announce with the 10th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft, the Winnipeg Jets select from Saginaw Spirit, Cole Perfetti.
Yeah, Cole Perfetti. He does go there.
Yeah, that's amazing. His father, Angelo, must be jumping through the building right now. I had the privilege of coaching Cole Perfetti in a lot of youth events when he obviously was a lot younger. One of the things that stands
So Perfetti finally goes, and he is going to be a Jet. So again, I was wrong. That's okay. I really don't care about that. But so he goes to the Jets, and
I think his hockey sense is better than you give him. On a 5 scale, I give him a 6 out of 5. It reminds me so much of Bartender Panarin and his ability to make.
this guy is not the most fluid skater. That goes to the 2nd overall selection. But this guy, he can move. He's fast and just really good at figuring out where to shoot. He can shoot from different sides, and he's fast. That jet speed game, that's what brought them to the conference final and gave them home ice in the conference final a few seasons ago. This is what he can help them do. They're still probably a playoff team, albeit a fringe, but they're still a playoff team. So I'll see if he plays this year. But he does give the Jets an offensive strength. If he doesn't play this year, he should definitely make the opening night American Hockey League Manitoba Moose roster. He's good. Big time.
Well, just look at those numbers before getting cut from the World Junior Camp and after. And he turned his season around and really went on a run. And I've got to believe that being ranked to potentially go in the top 5 in this draft and then not going until number 10 and sitting through all those picks, I'm sure he thought he might be going to the Detroit Red Wings at number 4. And there's lots of ties with Detroit. Knows Chris Draper extremely well. Chris Draper's best friend is Billet family for Cole Perfetti and Saginaw. Chris Draper's strength coach is Cole Perfetti's strength coach. Tracy Tutton, the Detroit Red Wings power skating instructor.
But very interesting. Saying some stuff I didn't realize. That Cole Perfetti's got a huge connection with Draper from Detroit, the former Red Wing and a president of hockey operations guy there. But
all of your top 10 players are already off the board. Are you feeling as confident about your next 10? We'll see.
But now Nashville will pick at 11. So this is where you get the interesting spots. This is where you're probably going to start seeing some pretty crazy trades fly off the board at interesting places.
Our greatest curiosity isn't a machine. It's you. Experience the rewards of our curiosity.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here to make dinner time a little easier. Meal times can be overwhelming, especially when you're trying to work, earn, and help with the schooling all at once. So let us help with KFC's $20 fill-ups. It's like a home-cooked meal you don't have to cook. Drive-throughs open or get contactless delivery.
I'm always wanted. Looks wrong on me.
Who is the second best goaltender prospect? I believe.
Fans from around the world coming together live in the Thunderdome.
I believe that's Nick Dawes from Guelph in the Ontario Hockey League. He's a good player, but he's not looked as highly as Yaroslav Oskarov is. Like, I don't know what Dawes is really going to turn into. He doesn't have that much. He's at an upside. He'll be a good goalie, but Oscarov's, he's your guy.
Power on with Constant Contact. Try it free today. You've got big plans for your small business. And Constant Contact has everything you need to connect with customers, find new ones, and sell more of your awesome stuff online. With email marketing, online stores, and more to help you do more business anytime, anywhere. So you can keep powering on without slowing down. Up top, power on with Constant Contact. Try it free today.
The 2020 NHL Draft is brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher, the proven sports fuel of the NHL. All right, 30 seconds left for the National Predators to make their selection at number 11. Bob, is this a possibility? Yaroslav Askarov, the goalie?
We're into the goalie zone now. Yaroslav Askarov, any point here from this point forward could be taken. And if the Nashville Predators don't grab him here at 11, I wouldn't be surprised if some other teams try to trade up to get into the 12 or 13 spot to try and take the goaltender.
Final seconds, the Preds on the clock. The pick is
So Nashville just made their selection. Here is the interesting spot. Askarov, no, but
the Nashville Predators,
for me, for Nashville,
and general manager, will make the 11th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft.
Thank you, Gary. The Nashville Predators are very excited to have the 11th pick in this draft, and we're also very excited to have a special person to present our selection. It is Roman Josi, our captain, and this year's Norris Trophy winner as the best defenseman in the National Hockey League. Roman, if you do the honors for us, please.
With the 11th pick in the 2020 NHL Draft, Nashville Predators are proud to select from St. Petersburg, Yaroslav.
No!
When we're talking about a goalie, the pick is in. Nothing like bringing a defenseman up to select a goalie. That's the way it should be done. Roman Josi,
No!
winner. Yaroslav Askarov is the pick, and this is a guy who's the best goalie prospect since Carey Price. This is the highest a goalie has been selected in a decade. Jack Hamill also went 11th overall.
Oh!
Pick is in. Goaltender taken at 11. We don't normally see goaltender.
Sorry, guys. Just
Is he worthy of this high?
the Devils don't get Askarov. I did not. This is another run where kind of like Florida last year, where the goaltender gets picked by a team. I didn't expect Nashville to go take him. Right, comparable to Carey Price. Yeah, this guy's gonna be a franchise guy forever. And Nashville's another team that runs on franchise goalies. Oh, I just didn't think, because Rene is almost done, but they've got Saros. I guess they just don't believe in Saros. It's very similar to the Panthers last year. They made a few trades and they got their goalie who will be ready. So Asharov's not going to be with them. He'll probably still play in Russia for another year or two, but Askarov goes to Nashville at 11.
Only 6 of them caught righty. He's going to draw comparisons to Carey Price. When you watch him play, Craig, and
What a great pick by Dave Coyle there.
Well, I think of Carey Price. It's exactly what I think of. But here's my preamble.
Again, I see him more as a Vasilevsky than a Price. But that's the thing with him, is they don't need – if you wait for this guy –
There is no player in that entire draft that has been better than Andre Vasilevsky. There is no player that is even coming close to having the impact that Andre
Not yet. Comparing Vasilevsky 2012, it's exactly. I thought the Devils were going to be able to do that. I thought, I thought the Devils were going to be able to go through and be able to get a player like that, just have him forever. But they don't.
Yaroslav Askarov is the best goalie entering the draft since Carey Price. Exceptional hockey sense.
Exactly. This is what I've been saying. The Devils to go get him, and the Devils did not. They let Nashville come away and take him.
Works at it. I think this is a tremendous pick by the Nashville Predators and much needed. This could be a futures pick as well, because there could be at least another couple of years in the KHL for Askarov before he comes to the National.
Oh, yeah, Askarov's not going to be here for another few years, but he doesn't need to be, especially not in that organization.
By drafting a Vladimir Tarasenko, when people realize it might be 2, 3, 4 years before he comes over. What did the Washington Capitals get by drafting Evgeny Kuznetsov, realizing it could be 2, 3, 4 years before he came over? So whether you have to wait for the player or not, it's immaterial. You want to take the best player available. The Nashville Predators believe that he's the best on the board right now. And to Craig's point, that he can have a major impact. It just may not be right away.
Yeah, I want to raise my hand on that too and just quickly say, yeah, they have to wait till those guys came in and helped them win Stanley Cups in St. Louis and Washington.
You know what? I've been around this draft for a long time. Best goalie I saw drafted in 1990 was the 20th pick overall, Marty Brodeur, and this guy's going to have a chance to be in that category. And everybody can talk about Carey Price, who's never won a Stanley Cup, Vasilevsky, who has. I'm just telling you right now, there's a Marty Brodeur component to this player.
Comparing Marty Brodeur with him. Great. Why didn't Marty Brodeur's team draft him? I just don't get it. But you got to give credit to the Predators. You can't just stew around like an angry fan, which I've been a little bit. Great move. Great pick. Great decision. And then, of course, comes a team that's already loaded in goaltender. They've got Bobrovsky, they've got the rookie. Florida here, this is an easy pick for me. Anton Lundell.
Well, I mean, it's
The Panthers, to me, clearly they should.
In terms of a new general manager in Bill Zito and the direction they're going to go. I can only look at our best player available. And
They would take Anton Lundell, in my opinion. I'd take the Finn off the board at 12. He would make the most sense. Again, for me, it just...
Alexander Barkov. And I'm not saying saying that Lundell is Barkov because he's not, but Lundell is an outstanding two-way center. He might be a little bit shy on high offensive ceiling, but in terms of playing a strong two-way game, and I believe Lundell actually played a game today overseas, so curious to see whether the Florida Panthers.
This guy also played in the Liga in Finland, the best league.
What a nice situation to play.
I'm gonna look at this guy now.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Yeah, Askerov's big time. This guy's good too, though. We're getting ready for the pick here.
Represent a lot of coaches who used to go work in Finland.
Between Lundell, I think Lundell goes to Florida. That would be a big pickup for them with their new general manager. This would be his first selection.
Bill Zito, the general manager of the Florida Panthers, will make the 12th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft.
On behalf of the Florida Panthers, I'd first like to thank our fans for their support during these difficult times. The Panthers would like to select from IFK Helsinki, centerman Anton Lundell.
Yep. They get him. They get the guy. Lundell of Florida. Nice. Interesting thing also to talk about the Devils. The guy I wanted in that section, if Askarov wasn't there, is still available. And he was the guy that I first wanted the Devils to draft before I knew about Askarov. And that is Hendrik Lapierre. But on the Lundell, this guy, he's a good height. He's long, he's big, he's tall, he can play that defensive game. He understands how to play it, and Lundell goes there to play for the Panthers. Pick coming up now belongs to Carolina with pick 13.
The second ball fish for the man cave. I love those things. Take me to the river. Drop me in the water.
Secure mobile banking from Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here to make dinner time a little easier. Meal times can be overwhelming, especially when you're trying to work, earn, and help with the schooling all at once. So let us help with KFC's $20 fill-ups. It's like a home-cooked meal you don't have to cook. Drive-thru's open or get contactless delivery.
Did I see the targeted date for the season 2020-21? I did. I saw January 1st. I would like a few weeks earlier, but it's not bad yet. It's January 1st. Yeah, I know it. But you know what? If they start the season off,
There was no cost to them.
the reason I think it was less COVID, it's more that they need a kind of a full off season. So it'll be January 1st, and they'll probably start the Winter Classic. We'll probably have a short season, but then a regular off season, and then the first season of the Kraken will probably be when we get our full normal season. That'll be interesting too, though. You gotta get ready for next off season, because after next season, it comes the expansion draft. That'll be quite intriguing. Yeah, should be.
First American selected in the 2020 NHL draft, Jake Sanderson, elite defenseman. He goes to the Ottawa Senators at number 5. This is a draft where Ottawa's looking to really ignite their franchise. 3 picks in the first round, 2 in the top 5. They get Tim Stützle, a left wing.
Right, so Jonathan Stützle, Sanderson, and then another pick for Ottawa. They're looking at. Right now, yeah, Carolina, who's on the clock. And then the next 2 and last picks of the qualifiers. Then you're going to jump into teams that actually made the playoffs and lost in the first round.
spend a moment with my brother and both my parents is really special. I'm just super excited and pumped up right now.
Yeah.
Also, if you're wondering, because I was like, oh, Carolina, their pick isn't.
Is the biggest thing that he has taught me.
You know, their pick isn't. They made the playoffs. If you're wondering, the reasoning on that is because Carolina's pick comes from Toronto, who Toronto did not make the playoffs. They lost to the qualifiers. And Toronto's pick comes from Pittsburgh, who also did not.
First Montana-born player ever to play in the NHL. What can you tell us about the hockey community you experienced growing up there?
Yeah, that'd be really exciting. I think for me growing up in Whitefish, there wasn't a lot of hockey at the time. There was only one team there, so I was playing with kids younger than me and older than me, so that was a little different with that, but we had to travel a lot too. And hockey there right now is definitely growing, and there's a lot of hockey fans there, and I mean, hockey's growing there too, so I think everybody's really excited, and so am I.
I know they are very excited for you tonight. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Jake Sanderson, the American, headed to the Ottawa Senators. We look ahead to the Carolina Hurricanes.
I'm on Devils Twitter.
Fifth straight winning season. This is
What?
To be honest, on the route for a team that's definitely on the rise.
Thank you, Campbell, for telling me. But
Well, I know this. What owner Tom Dundon said is they're not going to drop the defenseman at the first.
I will check that.
Was taken ahead of them. He wants to be entertained with offense. He said he'd rather lose 5.
Oh, give me a second. Right now, Carolina's actually going to be on the clock. I'll show that, and then I'll go back to the other.
Let's see who they take here.
Here we go. Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina Hurricanes pick is in.
The 13th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft will be made by Carolina Hurricanes President and General Manager Don Waddell.
Carolina Hurricanes are proud to select from the Portland Winterhawks, Seth Jarvis.
So I didn't really have a real opinion on who went where, but Seth Jarvis goes to the Hurricanes. So Jarvis is now a member of the of course, a member of the Carolina Hurricanes, and Edmonton is on the clock now, but Jarvis goes there. A center. He was the highest ranked player in the Western Hockey League. Jarvis played for Portland, the Portland Winterhawks. And this guy, again, speed, skill, fluidity, the biggest word here, fluidity. He's also the most sportsmanlike player, as voted by his peers last season in the Western Hockey League. Not a guy that's going to get up and be, well, he's not a physical player. He'll check if he needs to, but he's not a player that's going to do any of that nasty stuff. He's a real classy guy. We'll see how that goes in with the locker room of Carolina, which is that's a fun place to play. But he goes there. They wanted some more skill, kind of like a Sebastian Aho. I'm checking it, guys. I am checking the Twitter. But that's where he goes.
A player that they're just going to let develop. Portland Winterhawks in the Western Hockey League. No rush. Just let him get physically stronger. Continue to gain his confidence. But there's no doubting the skill or the elite puck handling skills that this kid has.
The way I would describe him is slick. He is Mitch Marner slick. He is so good with the puck, and he can strip the puck from you. He's very effective defensively. Doesn't get nearly enough acclaim for all the turnovers that he creates for his team, just because of how slick his stick is and how aware he is in all situations. But he is a magician with the puck. Really magical.
Team that's stockpiling young offense.
I did see myself. I remember taking that picture. All right, cool. Good to know. Now, where does Edmonton go?
Mitch Marner is a real good comparison, but I see great points in Seth Jarvis.
Also now some
players in data through midget through the junior years. That's what I see.
Some players to look at, not some players, some scores to look at now. I like to go through and tell you guys about. Top of the second, just like last time, it's 1-1 between the Yankees and the Rays. And then you're still waiting on the Padres-Dodgers game to start. That'll start at 9:38 Eastern, as well as waiting for the game between the Lakers game 4. LA leads 2-1 that series against the Miami Heat. Now, players to go to Edmonton. I would go here. I would go Braden Schneider. I would go Schneider to the Oilers here. That's where I would go. A defenseman. They need more defensive help. And Connor McDavid even exclaimed that they need defensive help in the playoffs, especially. So I'm saying Schneider to the Oilers. Although if you want to go defenseman, Caden Gould is another guy that's big time. There will also be another Russian that could go on the top 20, and that's Roydan Amirov with the other two Germans, Lucas Reichel and John Jason Petrika.
It's a lot more fun to talk about the tailback than it is the offensive line. That's just the way it goes. And it's a young team. It's an exciting team. It's a team that can absolutely score, and they've been successful. So it looks like it's a team that could potentially make another step forward because they've been right in the mix of the postseason the last few years. We look forward, though, to an Oilers club that we're anticipating to make several steps. But, of course, as they get set to make this pick at 14, some news about their captain and their superstar player, Connor McDavid. Last night, the news broke that he tested positive for COVID-19, according to the team. He's feeling well. He's showing mild symptoms right now, but he's voluntarily quarantining at this point. So, obviously, we wish a speedy recovery there to Connor McDavid. And now we're just about 60 seconds or so away from the Oilers.
Now about a minute left for Edmonton to make this pick. A really important pick in their franchise.
Well, I can only tell you this. General Manager Kenny Holland, in his media run-up to this event, suggested that he would be very surprised if he took a defenseman. That they've got a lot of defensemen in the pipeline, Evan Bouchard amongst others, and that it's much more likely that they're going to take a forward. The top forward we've got on the board is Dawson Mercer, who plays in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, good goal scorer, strong two-way game. So I'll be curious to see where they go here. Some people think Lucas Reichel from Germany is a guy who's going to go a lot higher than we have him ranked at number 22. So I would think the Oilers are looking for offense here. But boy, Craig, to pass Caden Gould at this point might be a tough one too. And that's obviously a defenseman that can play a strong two-way game.
So here we go. Edmonton to finally make their selection.
The 14th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft will be made by Edmonton Oilers President and General Manager Ken Holland.
The Edmonton Oilers are proud to select with the 14th pick, Dylan Holloway, University of Wisconsin.
Holloway, another center winger. He
I can tell you, the last year we didn't see a college player.
He is another American. He was the other American that was talked about, and he, again, the second American that was first round rated, goes to a Canadian franchise, and that's Edmonton.
What's amazing is he's so fast on the ice. It's unbelievable how quick he is. There's a Chris Pryor component to his game in terms of how he gets up and down the ice. More of a straight
So now,
than a East West player. Somebody that's got good size and strength. And it's somebody
Holloway,
I think fits into what Edmonton's trying to do with their
big time, just use your size and then get your speed in it type of player. You can push through, and he's also fast enough. Also, in the last 2 years, also the first round picks from Wisconsin. He's another Wisconsin first round selection. So now next up is Toronto.
Why do Bombas socks feel so good? Is it because we use the smartest design and best materials to make them the most comfortable socks ever? Yeah, that's part of it. But it's also because when you buy a pair, we donate a pair. Socks are the #1 most requested item in homeless shelters. And thanks to you, we've donated over 40 million pairs. So every time you buy a pair of Bombas, you're making a difference. And that's why they feel so good. Visit bombas.com to get 20% off your first purchase.
How do you think they make Starburst taste so juicy?
Starburst? Juice Drag equation. Super top secret mathematical formula they keep stored inside a safe, inside a vault, inside a volcano.
Juice Drax.
Starburst, unexplainably juicy.
Seriously, delivering refreshing flavors and pure beach vibes. It's another love goodbye your beach.
If you want to see some of the league's top playmakers,
So now, of course, their commercial. Get ready for Toronto. So for Toronto, I would go here. I would go. I'm trying to look at the defenseman again. Caden Gould here. I would go for the Maple Leafs to go and select. Try to work with this kid, see how he does.
Selling a home is expensive and stressful, so we set out to create a better home selling experience with a network of the most successful real estate agents in America. They'll sell your home for as little as a 2% commission.
The icing on the cake would be ideal. Was that we saved $12,000 in commission.
They were so stress-free. The whole process was amazing, and I would definitely recommend them.
We are not a discount brokerage. These are top local agents that'll get you the best results.
So the Toronto Maple Leafs on the clock at number 15, but at number 2 was Quentin Byfield to the LA Kings. Compare as well to Andre Kopitar, says Craig Button. Let's hear what he had to
So here we go for Toronto now on the clock. But now, I mean, obviously, as they go around, they're able to talk to each pick as it comes later. So in the middle of the draft now, they're talking to Quentin Byfield, the new member of the Kings.
You know, people that support me growing up was something really exciting. Definitely anxious coming out for that. And, keeping my name get called, definitely a big relief off my shoulders. And, can't wait to go to LA now.
You are officially the highest selected Black player in NHL history at number 2. It's a huge honor and distinction. I'm sure you are going to grow up to be a lot of kids' role models. So what does that distinction mean to you?
Yeah, no, that's something, super positive. And, I just want to continue, spread positivity and awareness to, that subject. And, it's also just something about my hockey career. And, it was just an exciting moment for me. And, so, I'm just really happy about that all coming together.
Nobody else in your entire family played hockey. You were the one that decided to take a chance, and here you are as the number 2 overall pick. When did you know that hockey was something you loved and wanted to dedicate your life to?
That's a good question. I don't really know. Nobody really played hockey in my family, but growing up, I think they really enjoyed watching hockey and watching the Maple Leafs. My dad's a huge fan. We really just started watching that every Saturday night and got super involved about that.
So, speaking of the Leafs, just listening to this conversation, speaking of the Leafs, they're on the draft board here. I mean, this team needs defensemen. This team needs defensemen.
Dad might have been a Leafs fan growing up, but I'm sure he is a Kings fan going forward.
They now they picked Rasmus Sandin in 2018. They took Timothy Lindgren, but these guys haven't completely become stars. So they're going to need to go get a defenseman. And again, for the final pick prospect, I'm saying it's Caden Gould.
Selecting right here at number 15.
There we go.
Toronto, your 5 minutes has elapsed and the pick is not in. You can either now make the selection or take a timeout.
Begin. No problem. With the 15th overall selection in this year's 2020 NHL draft, Toronto Maple Leafs are proud to select from UFA of the KHL, Rodion Amirov.
Okay, so they take the Russian kid, and this is completely Toronto Maple Leafs. They didn't even have their guy selected. Mitch Marner is standing at the podium like, well, what am I doing? But they take a good player, in Amirov. It's going to kind of be fun if Amirov does make the Toronto Maple Leafs in a few years and is playing alongside Mitch Marner, how that's going to go. But so he's a guy that's going to stand in there and take hits. He's got net front presence. He's going to use his body. And he can still score. He can still move it and score. So it's a good pick for Toronto, although I really think they needed their defense.
It's a nice compliment to those players. He's older, as we point out, born after September 15th of 01, playing in the KHL, so closer to playing than not. But he's got the ability to maneuver in tight spaces.
But this guy is one of those players that, for Toronto especially, he's going to make the tough play. He's going to stand there. He's going to dump the puck. He's going to force the puck at the net. He's going to be the one where an NBC and CBC are going to hear, this play is all made because of Rodon Amirov. He makes the play. He takes the hit. He shoots the puck in, and it's an all free-for-all. He's going to be that guy who starts the play. He's going to score a few goals, but he will be the playmaker, but in a different way. He's going to be the one that starts things. And you know what, for Toronto, that's actually pretty good. They needed a defenseman more, but a guy that will set up some of those tough plays, especially in the playoffs, for a team that is a playoff team, and I still think can contend to win the division, even though they have a lot to work on with Boston and Tampa in their way, and some of those other young teams like Florida behind them. But it's a good pickup. So they drop Rodon Amirov. Now, Dawson Mercer is the top-ranked guy. Montreal is on our draft. I'm hoping still, of course, Anthony Nerf is here because his Canadians are finally going to have a chance to draft a player. They were picking a lot higher than they thought they would have once the season reached its first conclusion. But because of their run, they were able to get to the qualifiers. They beat Pittsburgh in 4 games, shut them out in the 4th game, and were able to get 2 wins out of a really good Flyer team in the first round of the playoffs. Their first playoffs in 2017. But now the Canadians still, though, as with the Chicago Blackhawks behind them, have those are 2 teams that probably would not make the playoffs without the new setup. So they have a lot of stuff to go through and a lot of changes to come through and try to move across it and make. For Montreal, I'd love for him to become a double, but for Montreal, I see LaPierre. They need more offensive depth. They went and got Josh Anderson, and they traded one of their top scorers in Domi. So you know they need the offense. I think they're going Hendricks LaPierre here. I'd love to see him as a New Jersey Devil, but I see Hendricks LaPierre going to Montreal, who is now on the clock with the 16th pick.
You look at the draft board right now, pretty interesting. You see 12 forwards, 2 deep, 1 goalie selected so far over those first 15 picks. Montreal is up next. Canadians, team that's got into the expanded version of the postseason and then upset Pittsburgh, sent them out. So a little bit of spark for this franchise. Where do they go from here? Craig, if you're the Montreal Canadiens, you're in that draft headquarters. What do you think they are thinking of?
Well, of course, everybody in La Belle Province is talking about Hendricks LaPierre. Oh boy, the French-Canadian player. I think he's a terrific prospect. But when you consider that there's other players...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I am thinking LaPierre to Montreal.
Close to Hendricks LaPierre. The fact that they have Nick Suzuki, they have
as they show the LaPierre draft room, obviously French-Canadian. The first French-Canadian drafted in this draft was the first overall pick, and that was I love LaPierre. I was LaPierre for the Devils until I heard about the goaltender. This is a guy, great face-off guy. He's a real big time just shooter. not always a sniper, but he shoots the puck a lot. He shoots it well. We'll see where the Canadians go. I'm saying LaPierre, although they've got a lot of offensive players on the board, and it shouldn't dispute the fact that there's two good defense, Duel and Schneider.
Mark Bergevin, Executive Vice President and General Manager of the Montreal Canadiens.
Also no
will make
trades.
the 16th selection
Still.
in the 2020 NHL Draft.
So here's Bergevin.
Thanks, Gary. Les Canadiens de Montréal sont fiers de selecter. The Montreal Canadiens select from the Western Hockey League Prince Albert Raiders, Caden Gooley.
They do go defenseman. They go goalie. So the guy that I thought would be drafted by Toronto goes to the team after. Caden Gooley, a finalist, the third best defenseman in the draft. The other two going, obviously, to Ottawa and to Anaheim. So Sanderson will play goalie 4 times a year when they make their teams. So Gooley goes to the Canadiens, and he's the first-round selection. Chicago is on the clock. Yeah, that's weird. Chicago is on the clock, and then it's going to be the Devils. So the Blackhawks will pick now with pick 17. Also, the next few selections, my Devils will have their last two picks of the draft at 17, at 18, and 20. Should also be noted, since I'm a Red Wings fan as well, the Red Wings and the Devils, no Canucks because of the trade with JT Miller. That 20th Devil pick will be my last. It will be the last pick of the team that I'm a favorite of. That is a favorite of mine. Excuse me.
And changes in lab results. Your doctor should monitor your blood work. Tell your doctor about any infections, and if you are or may become pregnant while taking Rinvoq.
Take on RA. Talk to your rheumatologist about Rinvoq relief. Rinvoq, make it your mission. If you can't afford your medicine, Alfie may be able to help.
Alfie's 2 for $6 every day. Chicken, beef, euros. 2 of those things for just $6. Arby's, we have the meat.
Renee dips heavy, Desmond extra light, and Courtney counterclockwise. So while each drop of Meeker's milk is consistent, every hand in the bottle is unique as they are. We have Dak Prescott joining us. Looking strong. What's your secret?
My new sleep number 360.
Still
Any other questions?
waiting for the 17th selection owned by Chicago.
No problem. It's temperature balance. So
This is also, unless there's a trade, which there have been none in this first round. This is also the first pick, which should be noted by Chicago, and only selection by the Blackhawks in this draft.
Welcome back with the Chicago Blackhawks on the clock. I want to bring things back to Hendrix LaPierre because Bobby, have to look at him and think this is one of the most fascinating but challenging prospects to fully evaluate. The talent's there, it's clear. The injury history, that's really not the case.
Yeah, very much a medical wild card. Now, back at the
LaPierre, take a look at this guy's taken a lot of injuries, but I really believe in him.
He was lights out good at the Ivy Lincoln tournament. He was projected as a top 10 pick for this year's draft. But in October, he had a concussion.
But LaPierre's just had these concussions. He's had injuries. He's just really,
He was having symptoms. He couldn't seem to
really,
Dan Dyrek, who treated David Ortiz, Patrice Bergeron, and Larry Bird, amongst others, in Boston as an athletic therapist. And he was diagnosed with cranial.
a really big time player though. He moves well. He shoots the puck from far. Like he can shoot the puck from the circle. This guy's a mini Bergeron. That's what this guy does. He's great in the circle. He just has to really work on something he can't, really protect himself from. And that's he's got a lot of injuries up high to the head. So we'll see if Chicago goes with him. I think for the second straight time, no, I probably won't go defensively. Chicago, I think, is going with the German here. I think they're taking Lucas Reichel. Here the Blackhawks would take with the 17th pick. Right now, there's 1:10 left on the clock for them.
Also, to see it back on the ice, bottom line this for me, Craig. If injuries weren't an issue, is he the best player left?
Absolutely, in my view. And listen, I think if he didn't have injuries and he was able to show over the course of the season what he showed in the last two games in Chicoutimi on October 2nd and October 4th, he would have been in consideration in the top 5 picks. That's how good he is. He was a dominant player in his age group at the Lincoln Gretzky.
Yeah, a lot of people just really overlook this guy. This guy is good. It's just, the confidence drops. But if he can get going, he will be a very productive NHL player.
Here you look at the Chicago Blackhawks. Obviously, Lapierre a possibility in terms of best.
Although I think the Devils should really draft him if Chicago does not
I think you got to go best available. As long as the medical reports are good, you got to be thinking about
take Lapierre. I'm saying Reichel, but we'll see. Chicago, let's get ready to pick. Let's go.
We go back to New Jersey and join Mr. Gary Bettman.
Stan Bowman, Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Chicago Blackhawks, will be making the 17th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft.
Thank you, Gary. Here at the Blackhawks, we believe that what we do off the ice is just as important as what we do on it. We have a special guest joining us today to make our first choice from the Fifth Third Arena here on Chicago's West Side. Please welcome one of the inaugural One West Side grant recipients, Jamail Cannon. Jamail is the founder and executive director of The Block, which is a nonprofit boxing program that uses the love of boxing to provide mentorship and academic support to the youth of Chicago.
With the 17th pick in the 2020 NHL Draft, from Eisbären Berlin, the Chicago Blackhawks select Lucas Reichel.
Yep. Exactly what I thought. They go Reichel, and he fits the German first pick, the guy Stutzel. Third, he goes to the Ottawa Senators. The second German goes to an American team. Reichel does go here to the Chicago Blackhawks. And now the Devils are on the clock. They can take Lapierre if they like, which they should. There's only one team between them taking another player, and also him, and that's Calgary. But Reichel is just a guy that he makes stuff happen. A spark plug. That's that guy. You'll put him in later. He can play first line, but he probably won't. You put him in later, and he'll make a pass. He'll make a play. And the Blackhawks have a type of that presence in there. So Chicago takes Reichel, and Reichel will fit well there. Lucas will as a Blackhawk, as a Chicago Blackhawk. Nuremberg native. He played for Eisenberg Vauchis in Germany.
And was pretty fun to watch. And Liam, Robert Reichel broke Canada's hearts in the 1998 Olympics when he scored the only shootout goal against Patrick Roy the first time the NHLers were at the Olympics. So there you have Lucas Reichel's uncle, Robert. You can cheer for him against Canada.
Another reason for Chicago Blackhawks to be excited about this pick right there. So Reichel the pick there for the Chicago Blackhawks at 17, as for the New Jersey Devils there on the clock right now. The Senators 3 picks in the first round. The Devils 3 picks in the first round.
So Devils obviously got Holtz. You know that. The Devils have to get a defenseman. Here's the interesting thing. I'd like Lapierre, but Schneider would be really good for the Devils here. I say you go I would say they go Lapierre here. There's only one team between their other pick, their final pick of the first round, and that's Calgary. I don't think Calgary would go defensive. I do think, though, if they pick Schneider here, Calgary would take LaPierre off the board. They'll just go best player available. So they're talking to Alex Holtz right now, actually. But
it's been for me all the time since I was little. I was skating in the outdoor rink. He's been there all the time, pushing me. He wants me to get better all the time. He's a perfect brother. I love him. So I think if I didn't have him, maybe I wouldn't be here today.
Well, I know it is late there in Sweden, almost 2 a.m. So thanks for staying up late, and can't wait to talk to you and see you on the ice soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
so here is the trade that's being looked at. Talking about Taylor Hall, because this is what this trade comes from. A 2020 first-round pick, a 2021 third-round pick, although that could result in a second-round selection if Hall re-signs with Arizona. Nate Schnarr, Nick Markley, Kevin Ball. Blake Spears, who was a decent player with the Devils, as well as the superstar Taylor Hall, went to Arizona. It doesn't look like he'll re-sign.
He'd be a good pick here. I mean, he's not the fastest skater in the world.
Mercer's here, but I gotta go LaPierre if you're the Devils. You gotta go LaPierre if you're New Jersey.
He can play on your penalty kill. He plays hard.
I really think the best option for the Devils here would be LaPierre. I think these picks are gonna go LaPierre, Mercer, Schneider. And it would work well. William Wallander is another good defenseman, but Schneider is really the top one that's still available. Best defenseman available. He's the third best player available behind LaPierre and Mercer.
What type of players do you think he's looking
He likes guys with bite. He likes guys that are really smart, compete hard. But, Dawson Mercer reminds me of a player that used to play for Ottawa and Nashville. He's married to a famous country singer, Mike Fisher, married to Carrie Underwood. Dawson Mercer's got a lot of those same components to his game. He's a fearless player. He plays a robust style, knows how to manufacture some offense, but
So I like the Mercer kid, but I just don't see it with him. I think LaPierre is the perfect player here. LaPierre and Schneider. We'll see if they go for Mercer. I'm not going to lose my mind like I did with the goaltender, Oskarov in Nashville, but I would appreciate if LaPierre would go to the Devils as well as a guy like Schneider.
Dawson Mercer reminds me a lot in his approach to the game of Blake Wheeler. He also gives you versatility in respect to he can play center ice, so you're never short.
These guys are really thinking Mercer all the way to the Devils. They have been wrong. I'm saying LaPierre. Let's see. Devils' second pick in 3 picks and second pick of the first round.
The 18th selection in the 2020 NHL draft will be made by New Jersey Devils
I'll read that in a little bit.
manager Tom Fitzgerald.
Thank you. The New Jersey Devils are proud to select from Chicoutimi center Dawson Mercer.
Yeah, they go for Mercer. They do go for Mercer. Kind of wanted LaPierre, but they have one more pick to go in the first round.
Traded last year following the Quebec Major Junior League.
Yeah, it's not unusual. Teams like to load up with the deadline.
Yeah, I didn't expect Amirov, although if you watch the draft, Anthony, that was a really weird thing where the Leafs spent their whole time. They didn't even make their pick. Martyr didn't even know what was happening. It was very funny. But, okay, so no. Yeah, you were right. Amirov went to the Leafs. I didn't think Ashcroft was going to go to the Leafs, though. I never said they were. But, yeah, Amirov goes. Gooley goes to Montreal. And here they get Dawson Mercer. So the Devils will have their next selection soon, at the 20th selection. Now Calgary is on the clock. Calgary, LaPierre would make sense for. But I'm not sure.
Driving force, to be a competitive force, is really significant. And the New Jersey Devils are not just looking to add skill, they're also looking to have high-end competitiveness. Tommy Fitzgerald was a dyed-in-the-wool competitor. You know that he selected players that resemble those qualities. That's why I brought up the Mike Fisher component, because there's a Mike
for speed, but he's got a lot of the same flexibility things.
So Mercer goes to the Devils. Good pickup, competitive guy. He can help the team in that way. Physical, understands how to work on the wall. He's that guy. But for him, yeah, that's a.
And why would you say that? Who would want to play that way with the puck in your stick? But when a guy tells you that he looks up to Patrice Bergeron, maybe he won't be Patrice Bergeron, but
That's what you're looking at.
he looks up to for an honest player who's going to get it done. Maybe that's your guy. You look at the Devils here in the state of the franchise, last in the Metropolitan competitive division, but the idea that they missed playoffs in 7 of the last 8 seasons, 0 playoff series wins since 2012. Of course, that's when they went to the Stanley Cup final. And the 3 picks here tonight, they picked 7, they picked 18. As we look ahead to 20th, the 3rd pick, I don't know. I mean, you look at the way New Jersey's building its team right now, Greg. What does it tell you about how they want to play in the future?
Well, the key word there, Liam, is building. And it takes a lot of different players to build your team. And so you got elite talent in Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier. Now you need complementary players that can take advantage of them. And that's what becomes...
So now Calgary right on the clock, which will make them take 2 Quebecois. The Rangers could get Lapierre. Yeah, I want the Devils to get them too. Them though. I know. I love this Lapierre guy. I really like his game. Calgary. It works as an offensive player, but I don't think he fits there.
They have some good players deeper down in their roster.
All right, I hate to say this. I think it's Schneider. Because the Devils would be great to get Schneider, but to stop being a homer, start looking at who they will take. I'm saying Schneider here.
Successful tenor in Pittsburgh. He's trying to do some of the same similar things with the New Jersey Devils.
All right, so about 2 minutes till the Calgary Flames have to make their pick, and then it's the Devils again. You know, we get to this point in the draft, I'm asking what these teams are looking for, who they might be targeting, but just an open question, Bob. At this point in the draft, when you're 19, 20, and beyond, for the next 15 to 20 picks, how much separation are there from a player who's selected here at 19 and a player who might be selected at 40?
Not a lot, and it really varies a lot from team to team. So what you're going to see happening now, at this point in the draft, is that some of the players that we have ranked outside the top 31, they're going to start going because to that point that you just made, Liam, there may be a team that looks at some guy that's ranked 32 or 35 or 39 on our list and thinks that he's 16 or 19 or 21, and that's where you're going to start to see things get a little more scattered.
So here goes Calgary with 15 seconds left on their clock. Obviously, we'll see what they go on the list. I just think defensively they have a real need.
I'm curious. I mean, do you anticipate trades at this point in the draft if there is not much separation?
Probably not, I would say. We had one trade last year in the reflected draft picks, Arizona moving up to 11 with Philadelphia. We've had none to this point.
Yeah, no first-round selections. There actually was a first-round selection last year. I forgot about it. It was with Arizona and Philly. They made some pick swaps. But there has been none so far. It doesn't look like there will be. But here's Calgary needing a defenseman, probably, to go Schneider. Possibly Wall in there. They like their European defenseman, but regardless, they're going to take their pick right now.
We get our first trade here in the 2020 draft as we go back to the commissioner.
I'd like to announce a trade.
Oh, there is a trade. Okay.
The Calgary Flames are trading pick number 19 in this year's draft, the 2020 draft, to the New York Rangers for selections number 22 and 72.
Oh, boy.
This year's draft, the 2020 draft.
Nerf, you might be right, man.
19 in this year's draft to the Rangers for selections 22 and 72 in the 2020 draft.
Anthony, you might be right here. Anthony, you might be dead right because they just drafted. It would make a lot of sense if they went and got Lapierre. You know what? They probably will because he's a player that works. He's a Quebecois. He can shoot the puck. He works for their team. And also, They didn't just trade ahead of any team to go get him. They traded against a division rival, against a team that they're very don't want good offense players against. So, yeah, getting LaPierre here to the Rangers would make a lot of sense. It probably will take him before the Devils will have a chance to. And this is really bad because I want to root for LaPierre, and he'll probably go to the Rangers.
We know you've got big things ahead, and we're behind you.
Here.
All the way. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Lower carbs. Lower calories. Higher expectations. That LaPierre you've been waiting for has arrived.
Every customer has their own Safe Life story. This couple was on a camping trip when their windshield got a chip. They drove to Safe Life for a same-day repair. And with their insurance, it was no cost to them.
So, obviously, we will see how that that's going to go.
The pandemic has raised the stakes. These aren't just stories. This information is about life and death right now.
The facts, the truth, the news with Joe and Smith. Weeknights, 7 Eastern, CNBC.
Perot would be up there for the Devils potentially to get, but it looks like, the Rangers are going LaPierre here.
Big plans for your small business. And Constant Contact's email marketing tools make it easy to stay connected with customers. So you can do more business online without the heavy lifting. Power on with Constant Contact. Try it free today. You've got big plans for your small business. And Constant Contact has everything you need to connect with customers, find new ones, and sell more of your awesome stuff online. With email marketing,
I know, Jeremy. It looks like the Rangers are taking LaPierre.
anytime, anywhere. So you can keep powering on.
That's funny. The first time I have a huge stake in the draft, the guys that I want look like they're not going to go there. I know, Jeremy. Rangers traded. Looks like they're taking LaPierre here. Another Quebec want to play with Lafreniere because they traded their second-round selection, or I believe third-round selection, and the 22nd pick. Right. 22, 72 for this pick that the Rangers are about to make soon.
And this is just a start, because Times Square, there he is, larger than life. Alexis Lafreniere, the number 1 pick in the NHL draft. He's going to call Madison Square Garden home. The newest member of the New York Rangers, team on the rise. They picked number 2 last year. Kako was their selection. Then they get number 1 pick this year. Lafreniere is the man they traded up here, traded a third-round pick to move up 3 spots here in the first round.
Picks in for New York. This is probably LaPierre. It doesn't seem like it would be anyone else, but here we go.
We go right back to the commissioner.
New York Rangers General Manager Jeff Gorton, with the second pick in the first round for the Rangers, will be selecting the 19th pick.
Probably LaPierre.
With the 19th pick from the Brandon Wheat Kings, the New York Rangers select Braden Schneider.
They go for Schneider. Wow. 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 The dream is still alive for the Devils to take LaPierre. Schneider goes to the Rangers. They go on defensive depth. Did they need it? But they really did. But, boy, was it a weird...
He's really competitive, and he plays physical, and he plays hard.
Was it a weird pick for them? It works, though.
And he's no fun to play against. And let me tell you this about Braden Schneider. All he has done in his 3 years in the Western Hockey League...
I would love LaPierre to go to the Devils. I've been preaching it for weeks. But Braden Schneider, no, I was really on the wagon for Braden Schneider, too. I wanted to go get LaPierre and Schneider. Schneider is a poor man's version of Bowen Byram for last season. He is not as offensively and just player gifted. I still believe Byram is just – there's not a player that we've ever seen in the league like Bowen Byram. But this guy Schneider, they're comparing him to Trouba. It is – they're going to get Samuel Hava. No. If they didn't get a goalie when they could have, they're not going to get a goalie now.
He turned 18 on September 20th. in 2000.
Getting a goal. But I will say, yes, Schneider's a great player. He will help the Rangers. Not exactly where I thought they were going to go, but they go get Schneider. So now the Devils' final pick in the draft is coming up. They went for one winger, another winger that can play center, will probably play center. And so they can either go center here. There's one real big-time defenseman that's first-round bound probably left for the Devils to take if they want to, and that's the Swede.
What about Madison Square Garden fans? I mean, you get Alexi Lafreniere, you get the flair, the panache, the scoring ability, and then you see that video right there, Braden Schneider just checking people, wrecking people, giving them no space, and then the tongue-out celebration. I have a feeling, Greg, that the Garden faithful may enjoy it.
Oh yeah, I did follow along with you there, and one of the things David Quinn really
William Wallander, that's the guy. I mean, the third Swede drafted in this draft. Noel Gunler is another good player from Sweden that's out there, but Wallander, if the Devils want to go grab a defenseman, he would be your guy to go do it. But the best player available right now, no question, head over shoulders over everyone. Perreault is good, but LaPierre works. He fits in at center. The Devils can go grab LaPierre, and if they take LaPierre now, I will be really happy.
Jersey Devils back on the clock. The Devils' third pick here in the first round. They obviously selected just 2 picks ago. Here's what the Devils have done so far.
And this was the trade for Blake Coleman that came from the JT Miller trade with Vancouver. The Coleman trade obviously coming with Tampa Bay. He helped win the Stanley Cup. He had the last goal in the National Hockey League season about a week ago in Game 6 against the Dallas Stars. And Coleman was a great player, but this first-round pick helps New Jersey because a team that's not built to win now or the next 1-2 years.
That's the player that I would like to see go to New Jersey. Well, one of the theories we had going into this draft was if there was a team that was going to gamble on Lapierre in the first round, maybe it would be a team that had multiple first-round picks. Well, here we are with the New Jersey Devils picking for the third time in the first round, but I still don't think that necessarily guarantees you're either comfortable with Lapierre's situation or you're not. And a lot of the teams I talked to simply weren't comfortable, even though he's off to a great start, and even though he looked like a top 10 guy a couple of summers ago. It's difficult in this time, if you're a National Hockey League general manager, to draft.
140 left in the clock. I can see though LaPierre. He has a real hatred right now for whichever teams are going to pass him. That this is a guy that's going to put a chip on his shoulder and be like, I know I was injured, but that's not my fault. I can't believe Domi for Anderson. Really? Really? That's a great trade for you guys. Domi helps Columbus, but Anderson might be the most underrated player in the NHL right now. His analytics, his stats are amazing. He can play, he can block shots, he can shoot without the puck. He has a very powerful shot, and he's been in that system for a long time. He's kind of a leader. He can play defensive hockey, play offensive hockey. I know Dolmy's been a spirit animal for the Montreal Canadiens, but man, Anderson, that's a great pickup for the Montreal Canadiens. I think the trade benefits both teams. And I think that's just a good trade for them. So, Bergevin has made a couple of sketchy decisions. He probably shouldn't be there, but he did make a good trade with Anderson. A lot of people are saying, no, Montreal lost that. Columbus lost that. I think both teams really won this. I mean, the only bad thing for Columbus is they got to pay a lot of money. Domi helps, but Anderson is really going to help Montreal. His third team, though. Remember, he was drafted by the Coyotes. He got a splash in Montreal. Now he's in Columbus. Just Red Devils could be shopping their pick. It's possible, but the pick is in right now. I don't believe it's happening.
Still waiting on the Devils. As always, the counts there. Not always exact, not always precise, but close enough to go to the commissioner.
The 20th selection in the
It's not a trade.
2020 NHL draft will be made by New Jersey Devils general manager Tom Fitzgerald.
The New Jersey Devils are proud to select from UFA defenseman Shakir Mukhamadullin.
What are the Devils doing?
So we were having a conversation earlier.
They don't go Lafreniere. All right. I mean, that sucks, but what are the Devils doing, everyone? Because it's not that they had to get a defenseman, but no one knows this guy. They could have went and got Wallander. I would have understood Wallander. Shakir Mukhamadullin. I've never heard of this guy. Now, I don't want to watch the tape here. Very good stick handler, but he's going to be one of those guys that. The good thing about this Mukhamadullin guy is that he's got exceptional size, and I will give that to him. His stick handling's good. He's going to stay in Russia for a few years, but the good thing about this kid is that he's such a huge hockey player. The Devils do not have big defensemen.
Is that type of player, and Mukhamadullin is exactly that type of player. The other thing, Bob talked about Braden Schneider as maybe having the ability to be a second power play type shooter from the point. Mukhamadullin is that type of player also with a big shot.
So much change right now with the New Jersey Devils. New head coach is Lindy Rupp. New general manager in Tom Fitzgerald. 3 picks here in the first round. It began with Alexander Holtz. Just saw Shakir Mukhamadullin taken at the 20th spot.
Again, I don't get it, but
Mercer just chatted with Jamie.
If this guy fits the system, then what do I know?
Congratulations on going to the New Jersey Devils. What is it about the Devils in the midst of a rebuild that has you excited that you could go on to this team and potentially make an immediate impact?
Yeah, I think it's going to really just, take the opportunity to someone's doing and happening
This right now, but I think, like you said, they're in a rebuild and they have a lot of young, talented prospects coming up through. So I'm happy to be within that group.
Oh, it's funny. They were talking about to a player, and his audio was bad. And then they was talking. I was confused. I thought they were talking about Shakir Mukhamadullin, but the guy clearly didn't have a Russian accent. There was a discussion with Dawson Mercer. So again, the Devils have had a really interesting draft.
I'm pretty sure you know all about a rivalry between the Devils and Rangers. What do you expect that relationship to be like going forward?
But
yeah, I think he's really down together. He's shown it all year, all of his life, and I think,
like you said, that little rivalry between the Rangers and the Devils, I think for sure it'll be nice seeing them out there.
But so the Devils get Mukhamadullin. So here's Columbus needing offense with LaPierre Mukhamadullin. I will type it out.
On the clock here, it's number 21. Not a lot of trades, not a lot of deals today during the draft, but earlier today, there's one of the about the preseason. Going in the third round, pick 78 overall from the Montreal Canadiens. Over Josh Anderson. Pierre, this big for both teams?
Columbus just made their pick. Now they're discussing the Josh Anderson Domi trade. And this is a real big win by both teams, in my opinion.
It's pretty simple. He fancies himself as a center. He wasn't going to be a top 3 center in Montreal. But in Columbus, he's going to play right behind Pierre-Luc Dubois and a little bit ahead of Boone Jenner. So it does fit very well for Columbus as well. Plus, Columbus gets a 3rd-round pick from Montreal. So when you put it all together, it's one of those hockey deals that makes sense for both teams.
Right, I just say that makes sense. Yeah, it really benefits both teams on that. Anderson, I really think Anderson's just going to blow in Montreal. It's not the greatest that they weren't able to get a pick, but they were able to get something. Columbus's pick is in. We're going to go right there. Obviously, they could go LaPierre. He was ranked 17th in Europe. Yeah, again. He wasn't ranked high, but
I clearly see Max as
we'll see how he does. He's not going to have to play for another few years.
A square peg in a round hole. And in Columbus, they get their second-line center. No question in my mind, Max can be a really good, solid second-line center behind Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Last season was the 5th season under John Tortorella. This is interesting because first 15 seasons of the franchise, Columbus Blue Jackets had 2 playoff appearances. You look at the last 4 seasons, 4 playoff appearances, and they've made a mark. John Tortorella and Domi, is that a fit for you, Bob McKenzie?
Oh, it'll be fun to watch.
Here we go. Here's the pick for Columbus coming up now, guys.
Columbus at 21. We talked about the trade. Now their newest player in their organization.
The 21st selection in the 2020 NHL draft will be made by Columbus Blue Jackets general manager Jarmo Kekalainen.
The Columbus Blue Jackets are proud to select from Avangard Omsk of the Continental Hockey League, Yegor Chinakov.
The fall of LaPierre continues. Yegor Kimikov
He's a goal scorer, and he knows his way around the offensive zone.
for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Another European. This once we got past the 15, start 15, a lot of European players have been coming. Right through, and also interesting too because Columbus does not have a pick in the next 2 to 3 rounds. Because remember how they went for it in 2019, excuse me. But their first pick until tomorrow in the 4th round, when I'll do the stream tomorrow. They get this Jaeger kid, and he will be influential to them. Calgary's on the clock from the Ranger pick. So it's funny, Calgary, when they traded their pick, and I said they could have had LaPierre, they'll have a chance to get him or another player. We're at the point where you could clearly see LaPierre heading. LaPierre could be on the board tomorrow. He's really far.
I've always wanted to do that. Always wanted to do that.
Next round on me.
Tremfya helps adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis uncover clear skin that can last. In fact, Tremfya was proven superior to Humira in providing significantly clearer skin.
Serious allergic reactions may occur. Tremfya may increase your risk of infections and lower your ability to fight them. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you have a vaccine or plan to.
Tremfya, uncover clear skin that can last. Janssen can help you explore cost support options.
When I wake up in the morning.
They're definitely big upside for him. Absolutely, there's no question on that one.
And I know it's gonna be
Total protection. Now that we protect your identity and mobile phone as well as your auto, home, and life, you've never been in better hands. Austin, quick call for a quote today.
Discover, accepted at 99% of places in the U.S.
A lot of hate being thrown at Shakir Hamidullah that I initially did, but this guy works. Again, really, most players I see can work if they're developed, and I'm just telling you, the big thing on me with is Hlavja that good? At the Devils, I don't think they really should draft a goaltender. My thing is, if the Devils had a chance to draft a franchise guy, they clearly don't. They clearly like Blackwood, so there's no reason they should draft a goaltender in general.
Your mom had what looked like quite the party. Lots of people there to celebrate your accomplishment as the 6th overall pick in this year's draft. What was that moment like for you?
Oh, it was. You can't even put it into words. It was just so amazing having all these people here, my friends and my family. So just have the ability to celebrate with them. How my name called is second in that. So it's a really good time right now.
Yeah, we know your family's been such a huge part of your development, and especially during this pandemic where you haven't been able to have.
I got LaPierre for 25th pick. Maybe for the Avs. For the Avalanche. Oh, I think they take Wallander. They would like some defensive depth, but those are those teams that are really deep already on most of their positions. Although they do have a goaltender. Maybe Havlaj there, or maybe not this high. It's just that they don't really have a particular need.
I'm really, really grateful for having them.
I'm sure they will say.
Oh, that's awesome! I'm not gonna buy one, but that's really cool. That's actually really cool.
Jamie Drysdale, they just member of the Ducks organization, but now it's the Calgary Flames. They're on the clock.
I would have definitely probably gotten a LaPierre Devils jersey if he went. But
the Rangers traded up. They gave him a third round.
Here's Calgary with the chance to draft LaPierre, the 22nd pick. Also, after Calgary makes this selection, I will have to update you guys on some of the scores around the Major League Baseball and the NBA.
Coverage on NBC with our group.
That's right. Chinakhov went to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he was the 30th player on NHL Central.
Now they're actually giving some. Calgary's pick is in, or no, it hasn't been in yet, but it's close. But now they're giving some analysis, which I wasn't able to see because I don't know some conversations they were having on NBCSN on Jaeger Chinakov. So here is some analysis on this guy.
Was more than happy to jump up and take Chinakhov in the first round.
And Chinakov
But as I said,
is
gained our top 93 and our 7 honorable mentions to round to 100, and he wasn't there. Of the 10 scouts we surveyed, National Hockey League scouts we surveyed to get these rankings, one of the 10 players had him as a second round pick. Nobody had him in the first.
It's unbelievable. If you thought the Muhammad Olin pick was big, was rare out of nowhere, this pick that Columbus just made, out of I was playing, I'm watching the game. Yeah, I won't be broadcasting the game tonight. I have a quiz tomorrow morning that I have to get some studying up on, and yeah, I won't be doing the game. I'll watch a little of it probably, but I won't be broadcasting the game tonight. I will broadcast Game 5 though. I will broadcast Game 5. I think that's Thursday. Yeah, that's Thursday. I'll broadcast Game 5. Potentially Larry O'Brien, sure if it could be in that building, or else best of 3. But back to this Jaeger guy. There's no tape on him, and only one scout out of all the scouts they have talked to had given him a high grade, and it was a second round grade, not a first round grade. Here's the Calgary pick. Another trade.
Calgary Flames are trading the 22nd selection in the 2020 draft to the Washington Capitals for selections number 24 and 80 in this year's draft, 2020 draft. So Calgary trades 22 to Washington for 24 and 80, all in this year's draft. Washington, you're on the clock.
Calgary has another chance to pick LaPierre, and they trade it again. Now they drop down 2 picks. Oh, that's weird. Whatever. I don't care. But thank you for that. So now Calgary's back on the clock. Hey, what's up, guys? So Calgary's now back on the clock, and now here comes. I was going to say Calgary's on the clock, and now here come the Washington Caps. Islanders need a defenseman. Not really. No, they really don't. They need offensive scorers. Specifically wingers. You guys need wingers if you're an Islanders fan, Kevin.
Customizes furnishings. You only pay for what they need. Got it? Did you get that? Only pay for what you need. Liberty, 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 liberty.
Our great country is just waiting to be explored. Whatever road you take, make sure Your tires are ready to get you there safely. Right now at Midas, buy 3 Cooper tires and get 1 free. Find your tires at Midas.com.
Monday, experience raw like never before. Battleground featuring fans from around the world coming.
So we are now at pick 22, owned by Washington. Then I believe it's Philadelphia. And then, yeah, it'll be Philadelphia. And then it will be the Calgary Flames again. All right, now, Anthony.
Imagine the places we'll go. Together. Expedia. You've got big plans for your small business. And Constant Contact has everything you need to connect with customers, find new ones, and sell more of your awesome stuff online. With email marketing, online stores, and more to help you do more business anytime, anywhere. So you can keep powering on without slowing down. Up top, power on with Constant Contact.
I like Devil's pick. I'm looking at stuff on it on Twitter, and that's nobody likes it. I don't mind. I don't mind it. Again, what if LaPierre just drops all the way to the second round? Devils pick him up. That'd be pretty fun.
Number 22, remember they won the cup in 2018, the 2 straight losses in the first round of the playoffs since then. Some new faces, obviously a new head coach in Peter Laviolette.
Liam, do it. Take Henrik Lapierre.
Well,
Do it, Liam.
you would think if a team is moving up to this spot at this point, they're doing it for a specific reason and a specific pick. We'll see if that's the case right now.
Oh, sorry guys, Washington pick.
2020 NHL draft will be made by Washington Capitals Executive Vice President and General Manager Brian McClellan.
With the 22nd pick, the Washington Capitals are proud to select Hendrix Lapierre.
Well, I ate my words. LaPierre is a Cap. That's not where he thought he was going, but he's going to Washington and play with. He's up there. I actually met him. Great guy, great coach. But he's up there as a great coach. He's not coaching them, obviously, New York Islanders. But this guy goes. At some point, he'll be able to play with Ovechkin and Kuznetsov. Wow. So LaPierre didn't know where he was going, and thought maybe he would go to a team like Buffalo or New Jersey. He goes to a team that's built right now to win a Stanley Cup, and he'll be coached by Peter Laviolette. So LaPierre to Washington.
The kid has gone through a difficult last year and change. If you haven't been following the show all along, we deemed him the number 1 wild card in the first round.
But he drops right around to number 22. And it's funny, Calgary really didn't have his eye on him because Calgary had a chance to draft him first. They traded down to the Rangers. The Rangers went in. They didn't pick him. A few picks went by. They had a chance again. And this time they traded down, but Washington took him. So they clearly didn't like what they saw in him. Now here comes the Philadelphia Flyers on the clock.
2019, and he suffered back-to-back concussions in the space of a month. So keep in mind here, in 9 calendar months, he had 3 head and neck traumas, and the third one shut him down for the balance of the 2019-20 season. The symptoms were going away, so he went to see Dr. Dan Dyrek in Boston. Dr. Dan Dyrek is an athletic therapist who's worked with Larry Bird, Patrice Bergeron, David Ortiz, and others. They came up with a diagnosis that it wasn't just concussions, that it was cranial, cervical, traumatic injury, and that there were some problems with his vertebrae that were dealt with when Dr. Max Gauthier in Montreal gave him 6 treatments in the spring. This player was cleared in April to come back and play. There was nowhere to play, obviously. He's trained all summer.
So, Lapierre, for the Flyers,
in the first 2 games of the Quebec League season this past
Perreault.
weekend, and he scored 2 goals and 2 assists in his first game, one of them into an empty net, which was 1 goal in his second game. There were 40 NHL scouts in Chicoutimi to see him do this, to put on that offensive display. And yet, because of COVID, because of the pandemic, NHL teams...
Perreault. I will tell you, though, some of these picks that I didn't know if the Devils should take, I will tell you that there were some that I disagreed with, but if they, or any team, if they get them right on me, I will tell you that I was first to say that they were wrong. I thought that Devils should have drafted Nolan Patrick in front of Nico Hischier, and I'm not complaining. I was wrong on that one, and I'm okay with being wrong on these picks.
Examine him and get their own medical evaluations as opposed to taking those from the guys that treated him.
Well, they have to be satisfied with the medical report to take them, but it's eerily similar to when Evgeny Kuznetsov fell to the Washington Capitals because of the so-called Russian factor. Just another ridiculous element that I don't buy into at any point in time. The medical thing is a lot different, but you have to be satisfied with the medical reports to be able to say we have the confidence to draft them, because it is significant. You don't want to be drafting players that run the risk of not being able to perform at the heights of their abilities. But they have to be satisfied, and like Evgeny Kuznetsov, I think Henrik Lapierre could be that type of home run pick that we saw with that game.
The Capitals had to like what they saw in these 2 games on the weekend because he's not a shooter. He's a playmaker. He's always a pass-first guy. He doesn't want to shoot the puck. In those goals that he scored outside of the empty netter, obviously, he scored with a decent shot from the slot. The knock on him, even in spite of the fact that he's due to having elite playmaking ability and a really strong two-way presence, is that he doesn't get to the front of the net. He doesn't always get to the inside.
I just was confused a little. I kind of fell asleep at the wheel looking at some of these analysis that's being talked about. But
too much of a playmaker, not a good enough.
I mean, they're just talking right now, Lapierre. I don't know what else there is to say about that kid. He's ready for the NHL. He's just had a bad luck with the injuries, but he's a big-time scorer. He's got the tools with whatever it is to use, and now they get him with Washington. He's not going to have to play immediately. He's not going to play immediately. They can keep him there to learn, and then he'll be ready to
first guy rather than a shoot first guy, and everything on their
to go in and play
in the top 5 in the league
for Washington.
Pick back from Stick Liam. So I think this is really smart. They don't have to rush him. You got Backstrom, you got Kuznetsov, you got Lars Eller. So there's no need to rush him into the Washington Capitals lineup. He can get rehab. I think there's a really smart play by Brian McClellan and the scouting staff in Washington.
All right, so Lapierre's the pick. The Flyers are on the clock here. I just want to wrap up the Capitals really quickly here because we talked about a young talent coming in at 18. Any chance that a 38-year-old goaltender, Henrik Lundqvist, might be joining the mix as well?
It's possible. Obviously bought out by the New York Rangers, but there's a strong sense that the logical landing place for Henrik Lundqvist, the King, would be to be with the Washington Capitals, platooning with Ilya Samsonov this coming season. We'll have stay tuned on that when we get to Friday. Nothing can be agreed to until Friday, but it's a good bet that the King ends up in D.C.
They really think that Lundqvist should go to Washington, where he played some of his best career games. I don't think so. I'm saying Colorado or St. Louis. I'm saying really the Blues. I would think the Blues, but here we go.
Flyers general manager Chuck Fletcher will be making the
Here are the
23rd
Flyers.
selection in the 2020 NHL Draft.
This past July, Philadelphia Flyers scout Jack McElhargy passed away after a battle with cancer. Jack made countless contributions to the Flyers over the years as a player, assistant coach, and scout. Today and every day, we miss Jack's insight, wit, and sense of humor. Jack played a big role in the drafting of several players currently within our organization. This draft, we honor and remember Jack as we select the next class of Flyers prospects. With the 23rd selection, Philadelphia selects from Barry Tyson Forster.
Tyson Forster, the pick here, almost 6'2", almost 200 pounds.
So it's Tyson Forrester.
Guy who and 8 points in 6.
Tyson Forrester, a winger in the Ontario Hockey League, the 29th ranked prospect by Bob McKinnon and Bob McKenzie and TSN. He's an average sized guy, but a bit taller than you'd think. But a really good defensive, offensive hockey player. They're saying Perry. I'm going with his teammate in Dallas, Tyler Seguin. Forrester just is. He understands where to go on the ice, which is to me really nice. You can fit in well with the Flyers. Again, bigger offensive presence. Most of their top scorers are not large hockey players, but he works. So for the third time in the draft, Calgary's on the clock. If they select a player, it'll be the first time they do so. They traded down first to New York, and New York was able to pick Schneider, and then to Washington, and Washington was able to pick LaPierre. So now Calgary will be on the clock, and Kevin Serling, your Avalanche are coming up soon to pick after at 25.
But he couldn't skate, and people wondered if you could project him as a National Hockey League player. Very similar scenario with Forster. If he's got a real awkward skating stride. There are some teams I talk to that believe the skating stride is a fatal flaw, that he won't be able to fix it. And if you believe that, he's not a first-round pick. But if you're one of the teams that did believe it, and we had him as the consensus number 29 pick to go in the first round, if you believe that you can fix the skating stride, the Philadelphia Flyers obviously do, you're getting one of the best one-time shooters in this draft. It's very cool. A big body, can one-time a puck on the power play, can score from far out, and has a real nose for the net. So it'll be interesting. He's got good hockey sense like Mark Stone. He's going to need to work on his skating and polish up his game. But the Flyers obviously believe he's capable of skating, straightening out the skating stride, and that it's not a fatal flaw. So what's fascinating for me is not only when I watched Tyson Forster did I see similarities to Corey Perry, but also hearing Bob talk about the reservations that scouts had on Tyson Forster.
Here we're talking on Forrester as well.
You get to the right places at the right time.
Oh yeah, this is interesting. The scouting crew is not the scouting crew. The broadcasters are ripping the scouts because apparently a lot of hockey scouts for teams took this guy off their list because he's not a good skater. So his whole thing was, their thing was what I said. This guy gets to the right spaces at the right time. I don't care if he's a skater. If he's that good of a skater, you can mature. And yeah, he can, because it's skating. And also, if you want to go, what? He's from Canada. Everybody knows how to skate.
He's only going to get better. I don't see a flaw in Tyson Forster's skating.
This guy just has to get more of a consistent shot, and it's a continued on this whole thing with the skating. Yeah, it's ridiculous to kind of like get right out. Well, this guy can't skate well. Well, this guy lifts his toe and he drives down the ice. This guy constantly falls when he gets for the puck. He's like a 2-year-old out there. We can't have that in the national. Like, that's ridiculous. But he's a good player, and he fits really well, especially large offensive wingers and centers. Like, they like their size in Philadelphia. So he works there. Works well there. There could be a third American pick. Brendan Brisson is on the board, but it doesn't look like he'll be drafted. He's 30th overall ranked. It's not been a huge drop, but I'd like to see where Wallander goes. And then, of course, you can have your third German with John Jason Ketchka.
Forster, he's the pick for the Philadelphia Flyers at 23. But now it's Calgary. Calgary, it's been a journey here to number 24.
So Calgary, 24, as we said. They were at 18. They were at 19. Traded down, they were at 22. They traded down. They are now at 24. doesn't look like they'll trade down. Also, there have only been 2 trades in this draft, in this first round. And it was the Flames. You came at the right time. That'd be really funny. Well, trade with literally anyone would be funny. T.S. Forever, and I see you. You came around the right time because we're 2 picks away from your Blues from selecting. Since Ottawa didn't move to, yeah, but Ottawa has already. Ottawa has 2 picks, and they already have a 3rd selection coming up later in the draft. Calgary's pick is in. I don't see a change, though. Here we go.
Calgary Flames general manager Brad Treliving will be making the 24th selection in the 2020 NHL draft.
Thanks, Gary. I'm proud to introduce to make our 2020 selection former Flames captain, former Flames great, and Hockey Hall of Famer Lanny McDonald. Lanny?
Thank you, Brad. It's been almost 50 years since my name was called at the NHL draft. It's one of those great memories in a young player's career, and still to this day, it is for me. Now, the draft has certainly changed a lot since my day in 1973. But no matter if it's a phone call, a big stage, or today virtual, it's a special day and an honor to pull on an NHL jersey over your head for the first time. I have the privilege tonight to welcome this young man to the Calgary Flames to carry on our traditions and legacy. I'll ask Flames Director of Amateur Scouting, Todd Button, to bring the jersey forward. Thank you, Todd. And with the 24th
Yes, it's amazing. That's Lanny for you.
NHL entry draft, the Calgary Flames select center Connor Zary from the Kamloops Blazers.
Once again, I yell at the TV screen. I don't know this person. Connor Zary with 86 points in 57 games from the Western Hockey League, the 2nd Western Hockey League player. He goes to Calgary, so they make their pick. And now we can see some highlights of Connor Zary. This is nice. Now, 2 teams that I am not huge fans of, but are 2 big teams of 2 of the people who have loyally been on this chat and have withstood my screaming for the Red Wings and the Devils are up to pick. First, we have Jeremy's Avs. But Zary compares himself to Horvat from Vancouver. But he is, Connor Zary to me, he is a lot like, to me like a Hyman or one of those guys who can play the wing but is also kind of aggressive. So Avalanche, Joe Sakic getting ready for their pick, the 25th selection of the draft. And now they're going off. It's a commercial. They got about 7 picks left. For this draft.
Today's the day you get to your Toyota dealer. But hurry, they're going fast. Toyota, let's go.
Arby's, 2 for $6. Every day. Chicken, beef, gyros. 2 of those things for just $6. Arby's, we have the meat.
You hear the call of the wild. Answer with a pair of Skechers. Waterproof, insulated, all-day comfort. From backwoods to city streets, everywhere in between. When you get outdoors, get into Skechers boots. Don't be afraid. This Halloween will be just like last. We'll buy tons of Reese's Cups for the youngins. And eat them all ourselves. Reese's.
Priceline works with top hotels to save you up to 60%. These are all great. And when you get a big deal, you feel like a big deal. Priceline. Every trip is a big deal. If you haven't had our coffee yet, you haven't had your coffee yet. Dunkin' hot and iced coffee, just the way you love it. And made to make your day. Order ahead on the app. America runs on Dunkin'.
Yes, we are still in the first round. Cheers forever. The first round is only today. I will be live tomorrow at around, I think, 12 o'clock. I got to see when the draft is. Give me a second for that. But I'll be live for tomorrow, 2nd to 7th round. So tune in for that tomorrow. But and I know it's going to start early and end at around like 7. But I will obviously be ready for that. But yeah, today's just the first round.
There was so much uncertainty and wait a long time. 22 picks, but Hendricks left the air. The sense of relief, the sense of joy, a member of the Washington Capitals, and here with Jamie Hirsch.
Hendricks, congratulations on going to the Washington Capitals, who actually traded up to get you. What does that tell you about the team, and what does it mean to you that they would do so?
Yeah, well, obviously it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling growing up.
So now Abs on the clock, yeah.
Because of that Ovechkin, so wearing that jersey today feels really good. And obviously the fact that they traded for me feels pretty good as well. I feel like you can't be really negative. So looking forward to the future.
This past year has been really tough on you. I know you've dealt with several injuries and worked hard to be able to bounce back and be a kind of player that someone would draft in the first round. What does it mean to you that the Capitals were able to take this far?
Yeah, well, I believe it's not a risk anymore, but obviously I had a really tough season last year with the injuries and, wasn't able to be with my teammates as much. It was really a tough year, wanting to be on the ice that much. So
I'm just getting up the schedule on the second round.
Washington is absolutely amazing, and I feel like it's the cherry on Sunday to a pretty negative season. So looking forward to the future.
The class are 9 to 155, but on Tuesday it is 9 to 3. No, it's tomorrow's Wednesday.
Mercer was drafted just a little bit before you. Is there going to be a friendly competition between the two of you going forward in your pro careers?
No, I don't think so. Obviously we're talking about and all that stuff, and I was really happy finally got drafted. I know he's probably gonna get as well.
I'm still looking. It's really hard to find when these things are, but you give me a second, I will find it.
He's a really hard worker, mine as well. So we'll see what happens in the future. Yeah.
I know your mom is looking on proudly, so thanks so much for the time, and congratulations to you and your family.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I'm sure she does as well.
It was one of those happy moments where everyone.
It starts at 11:30.
It's the Avs at 25.
Selection.
It starts at 11:30, so that's when I'll go. Oh, here we go, Avs.
Draft will be made by Colorado Avalanche General Manager Joe Sakic.
Thank you, Gary. With the 25th pick, the Colorado Avalanche are proud to select from the Halifax Mooseheads, Justin Barron.
Justin Barron. Okay, not Tallender, but another defenseman. And I did say earlier, if you remember in the show, that I thought the Avs should go after a defenseman. Not the one that they got, but they do go and grab one.
You're always happy to have a little Moosehead when you're in Halifax. But Justin
So,
he missed
Halifax native,
He had another surgical procedure.
Halifax
Prevented him from playing at the
Moosehead, big-time defenseman, big-time physical player, Justin Barron, goes and plays for the Avalanche. That's okay. My class ends just before the draft starts, so.
Certainly could have affected that, but he moves the puck well. He's very cerebral. I don't think he's going to be a huge point producer, but you need to be able to skate. You need to be able to move the puck out of your own zone. And much like Hendricks Lapierre, You have to believe that the Colorado Avalanche were satisfied.
Hope you guys didn't hear that. I'm not sure what that was.
They received on Justin Barron, and they're not going to ask him to play a frontline role because they have Cale Makar on the right side to do that.
Yeah, next to Hendrix Lapierre, this would be the biggest medical question mark because of the blood clot that you talked about. Only played 34 games last season. Right shooting defensemen are always at a premium. When you're 6'2", 190 pounds, and you can skate like Justin Barron can skate, you're able to skate right by some of those medical concerns.
Yeah, there's one component in Colorado that they stress. They want guys that are fast and are pretty big. And you can look at this player, and that's the one thing. He's big and he can skate. His brother, obviously already drafted out of Cornell.
I gotta go check some scores on you for here.
Last year, Morgan, so he comes from obviously great bloodline for hockey. But the biggest thing about Colorado is having to build their team. It's about size and speed.
Right now in baseball, the Yankees are losing 5-4 against Tampa. St. Louis is on the clock right now. What jersey are you wearing, TS Forever? Dodgers and Padres top of the second, one man on base and no score.
First shot. The best thing that ever happened to Cale Makar is he spent an extra year at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, and he played for a former NHL assistant, a great Carver, who runs that program up there. And I can tell you right now, Cale Makar would be the first person to tell you that helped him so much. He wasn't rushed into the NHL, gets into the NHL, and he's ready for prime time. And he's been outstanding ever since he got to Colorado. Like with tournament games, and this guy is a dominant player. And here, let me tell you, a guy that would have benefited from staying another year in college was Tyson Jones. He left a year too soon, and it's affected his play at the National Hockey League level. And Cale Makar did not make the same miscue or misstep or mistake, in my view. And you now look at Tyson Jones, who was a high pick. Him leaving a year too soon is the perfect example. If you're not ready for the NHL, it will chew you up and spit you out like 100%. And that's why what Makar did was so wise. He was coming off the World Junior where everybody was
Binnington. Okay, nice. They're talking about some of the things. Blues here. Where do you go? I'd say you go with Perot, but I wouldn't be wrong with John Jason Patrica or Paterka. Paterka would be good for them as well, but really, I think the Blues should go for some more offense here. Defense would be nice, but I really think the Blues go offensively. I know, Pietrangelo, but you're not going to replace him with anyone. So I think, winger. Perot's a right winger, and Paterka is a left winger. So those are the two top guys. I say they go Perot here.
Doug Armstrong, the GM.
Blue clock right now, though. Just like Winnipeg, they're doing their.
Well, your guess is as good as mine, to be honest. Jacob Perot's our best available.
Their pages right now here in the locker room, which is pretty cool. We'll see who the next Blue will be. I think the next guy to join the team by the Arc is going to be a Canadian by the name of Jacob Perot, but it could be the third German of this draft. John Jason Paterka. Could also be, if you want to get a center depth, it could be the third American, Brendan Brisson, or maybe another winger, Noel Gunler, which would be the third Swede, or William Wallander. Defenseman. A lot of things they could go with. I'm saying Perot, but a lot of options.
And now that he is the general manager with the Arizona Coyotes, he's not permitted to be in the Arizona Coyote draft room, even though they don't have a first-round pick today. Anyways, but that was part of the condition of him leaving the St. Louis Blues to go to Arizona as general manager. I don't think that'll impact things one way or the other. Doug Armstrong's staff is otherwise pretty much intact, so I'll be curious to see where they go with this one.
I mean, this is one question. Obviously, it's a big one. We're in the draft. They're picking here at 26, but let's face it. I mean, the biggest question for the St. Louis Blues right now is that this is a team that went to the Stanley Cup, won the Stanley Cup. Alex Pietrangelo was such a huge part of that.
We want to lose Pietrangelo, but you're not replacing him with any of these guys. Not replacing him at all. I really think Perot would be a great addition to the St. Louis Blues roster. We shall see where they go, and we shall see where they go now. The pick is in St. Louis. Also, next team on the clock is Anaheim.
Here they are, 26.
The 26th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft will be made by St. Louis Blues General Manager Doug Armstrong.
the St. Louis Blues select from Edmonton, Jake Neighbors.
Okay. They do get a winger. He was ranked a lot lower, but they get Jake Neighbors, a Canadian winger from Edmonton native, and he will play the Oilers 3 times a year, either once or twice, depending on each year in Edmonton, in his hometown. So he'll have a chance for that. But he goes and plays with the Blues, Jake Neighbors. So it's a good pick. This kind of those where you see who the evaluation, if the team likes him more, if he likes the team more, it doesn't really matter. But Neighbors will go to the Blues.
There's no question that he's a hard-nosed, competitive, physical player who's exceptionally smart. But like Milan Lucic, they have to improve their skating. Now, Jake Neighbors has shown a real capability to play at the necessary pace, but the national
Giving
is 2 steps higher than what he's played at in the Western Hockey League. But he's hardworking, he's determined.
Giving some improvisations to the current Edmonton Oilers, Milan Lucic.
Sandpaper component, there's no question. Jake Neighbors game. Anybody you talk to, anybody who's played against him today, the same thing. There's a little bit of nasty stuff going on there.
Apparently, he's one of those players that's, he gets into it. I don't want to say dirty, but he's a rough and tough guy. Rough, tough, tumble, that kind of thing for Neighbors. And the Blues would have liked a little bit of nastiness in the series against the Canucks last year. So Neighbors goes to St. Louis, and it's a big pickup for them. Now, Anaheim.
Obviously deserves a little bit more time to breathe here because it's such a big situation for the St. Louis Blues.
Anaheim is on the clock.
Honestly, how do you see this playing out between Frangelo and the Blues and really the rest of the league?
Unless Doug Armstrong and the St. Louis Blues come back with a final offer before Friday, and the offer is more than what they offered last time and comes with a different structure than it did last time, I would say it's more likely than not that Alex Pietrangelo is going to go to the free agent market at 12 noon.
Oh, I completely missed that. They misspoke. He plays for the Oil Kings in Edmonton, which I knew, but he's not from Edmonton. He's from Air Dry, Ontario. But regardless, good player for the St. Louis Blues to add, and now they're not really talking about them. They're talking about your captain. Now, here's the real question. If Pietrangelo leaves the Blues and goes to a team like, say, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who becomes the captain, if any? I think Tyler Bozak wouldn't be a bad captain for the Maple Leafs. But I don't know over the Maple Leafs. For the Blues. Well, he used to play for the Maple Leafs, but I mean for the Blues. We'll see. Shen, another guy. Maybe even Ryan O'Reilly.
Unless things change dramatically between now and Friday, there's a real good chance he's going to be going to market.
First check coming up now, too, here. Jan Mashek. But he's probably going to go tomorrow.
Economically and all the uncertainty.
Well, you're right. It's a flat cap and for who knows how long. And I know everybody's looking for big trades and big movement and all of that. It could well be that there's going to be an economic paralysis here, that there's so many teams trying to dump money that they're all trying to do it at the same time. The market's flooded and it makes dealing very difficult. But when you're a player like Alex Pietrangelo, somebody will find the money for you. And that may apply to Taylor Hall as well, the marquee offensive free agent in this draft. But it may also be that a guy like Taylor Hall might have to do a shorter term deal than he would have liked to end up on a team where he wants to be. And that's what Alex Pietrangelo is looking at too. It's one thing to get the money, and the money is important, as is the structure of the contract. But Alex Pietrangelo at this stage doesn't necessarily want to go to a team that looks like it might be 5 years away from winning the Stanley Cup. So
O'Reilly or maybe I wouldn't say Tarasenko. Still on Pietrangelo. They say there's a problem with on how deals will be done. It's going to be really hard for players to really benefit from free agency just because the economy is so wrecked by this whole COVID-19 disaster. Specifically because if you look at it, and I don't know if he's lurking here, but Josh Raven's age, the Canadian dollar is completely down and low. You're the Ducks
in the 2020 NHL draft.
Whoa, here we go.
The Anaheim Ducks are excited to select from the Starnia Sting, Jacob Perrault.
Jacob Perreault goes to the Ducks.
Best available. Jacob Perreault, the number 21 man.
So I thought he would be a blue again. Like the third time I picked a guy to go somewhere, and I really believe he'll go somewhere. He doesn't, but the next pick I pick against him and he goes. Perreault. The second overall selection, a 5'11" kid. Second overall selection for Anaheim, Jacob Perreault. He's Canadian, but he grew up in Chicago. So he goes to one of the non-division rivals to the Blackhawks, Anaheim. And he'll help that offense. Max Comtois, again, not going to make the team this year. Probably won't hop on. Maybe later in the year if they're not great. But he is big time.
He doesn't chop it all, and he doesn't have any of the attention to detail or the defensive conscious or the effort, consistent effort that is that game. But he's certainly got talent and upside. This is an incomplete package that needs a lot of work to come together. But boy, he's a talented player.
So like father, like son, in terms of they both play hockey. And then different after that. Up next, Ottawa Senators.
But Perreault is that it could be Perreault, yeah, it could be. But Perreault's a good player. They're kind of negative analysis on him, but he's a good player. He goes over to the St. Louis Blues. No, excuse me, not St. Louis Blues, the Anaheim Ducks. Now we are at pick 28. There are 4 picks left. Ottawa gets a pick from the Islanders selection, the Pajot trade. This is Ottawa's third and final pick of the first round. Then Vegas, then Dallas, then the San Jose Sharks. Yeah, I was going to actually do some projection. I might actually do if the NBA game has some significant time left in it, I might do the NBA game. At halftime? You know what, guys? You know what? I'll do the NBA game. I'll do it, actually. If this draft ends fairly quickly, I'll do the NBA playoff game. I'll broadcast it.
You've got big plans for your small business, and Constant Contact's email marketing tools make it easy to stay connected with customers, so you can do more business online without the heavy lifting. Power on with Constant Contact. Try it free today. In today's market, deciding the right move is easier with the right advice.
That's a tight game. Okay, Jeremy. All right. Nice. Good to know. After this draft, I will end this stream and I'll start a brand new stream and do the NBA draft. But after that game, the NBA game, I mean, after that game, though, I got to be done with YouTube, so I got to continue to study. But I will do the NBA game after this.
The Ottawa Senators were looking at tonight as a franchise-changing draft, and it began with the third overall pick, Tim Stützle from Germany, and then the only American drafted so far here. First American selected is Jake Sanderson, Jeff Sanderson, top defenseman selected in this draft. So it's Stützle, third overall, then Sanderson, fifth overall, and now they selected 28. So Stützle, the first German taken. Since then, another German has been selected. Any chance that we get a third German selected here and the second for the Ottawa Senators, Greg?
Well, let me tell you a little interesting fact about J.J. Peterka, who we're talking about as potentially a pick here for the Ottawa Senators, and Tim Stützle. At the World Junior Championships in 2020 in Czech Republic, JJ Peterka scored 4 goals. On 3 of them, Tim Stützle was the key setup guy. I don't know, you might want to look for a little bit of German chemistry. And certainly JJ Peterka would qualify. But we see, one of Bob's best availables still here is Ridley Gregg, an edgy centerman, much in the mold of Nazem Kadri of the Colorado Avalanche.
So here, Ottawa on the clock. Completely forgot that. Ottawa
For the Ottawa Senators, with a 4-second
is now going to have their pick 28th overall. We'll see where they go. For Ottawa, I say you go with Ridley Gregg. Ridley Gregg.
Before the Ottawa Senators make their third and final pick here.
And that's what they're looking at right now. The Brandon Wheat Kings native.
Got Tim Stützle, who we had locked in at top 3, was either going to go second or third. It was Byfield who went second, Stützle third, and then as we mentioned, it was Jay Sanderson, the American, the defenseman.
Well, pick is in for Ottawa. Their final pick of the night before Vegas, Dallas, and the San Jose Sharks from Tampa.
Trent Mann, Chief Amateur Scout for the Ottawa Senators, will be making the 28th selection in the first round of the 2020 NHL Draft.
With the 28th selection, the Ottawa Senators are proud to select from Brandon of the WHL, Ridley Gregg.
Yep. So they go. As I thought.
Where they take the son of
Ridley-
a former NHL player, and it's not often we get to see this in the first round. And we know he's got
Ridley Gregg.
this is a guy who
Gregg goes to Ottawa. The third pick by the Senators. They go.
a couple of suspensions along the way. Gregg is the guy with some
They go for the German center. They take an American defenseman, and now they've got a Canadian Manitoba center out there. Ridley Gregg, he made his Western Hockey League debut last year as a 17-year-old hockey player. He's been good. He's got a killer shot. He's not Sidney Crosby, but he has a Sidney Crosby-like game. You know how his game after Giroux? I see him a lot more Crosby-like, even though he's not that type of player. He can just play that offensive game, very much like it. So,
Interesting part of this for Ottawa. Jake Sanderson's father, Jeff, played for the Hartford Whalers. Riley Gregg's father, Mark, played for the Hartford Whalers. He and Jeff Sanderson, Mark Gregg and Jeff Sanderson, best buds when they were part of the Hartford Whalers organization. Now their boys are playing for the same NHL team. I'm not sure how often that happens.
pretty cool note there.
I was a coach.
That's why we went to Thursday information.
Vegas is on the clock for their first and only pick on pick 29. And they come back from commercial. So, yeah, Craig comes there. And apparently, interesting factoid, both Craig and Sanderson's fathers, they played hockey. They played in the National Hockey League. They played on a really fun Hartford Whaler team in the 1980s. And they were line mates and fast friends. And now their kids are playing for another fun, young, fast team in the Ottawa Senators, which I think are going to be a lot better. They've made the decisions, they made the trades they've had to make.
Make sure your tires are ready to get you there safely. Right now at Midas, buy 3 Cooper tires and get 1 free. Find your tires at Midas.com. Because we believe the most amazing machines are inspired by you. Experience the rewards of our curiosity.
It's so good to see you guys. Come on out here.
Are we on yet? I thought we were doing the Zoom thing. Confused? No. You just need a Snickers.
Let's go in for Vegas. 29th selection in this draft. Held by the Knights. Let's check some baseball. 6-4 Rays, the top of the sixth. 1-1, no outs for them.
Discover. Accepted at 99% of places in the U.S.
No score in the middle of the second between the Padres and the Dodgers. That game's gone pretty slow.
Back here, NBC Sports winding down the first round of the 2020 NHL draft. 3 picks remain. We're at 29. Vegas is on the clock. Less than 90 seconds remain before they have to make their pick here. Before we get into the pick, let's just talk Vegas in general because they give Robin Leonard that 5-year extension. So
Vegas does not have a huge amount of cap space, but
opportunities or ways of trying to trademark Andre Fleury. He's got to probably agree to wherever they want to move him. So that's part of it. I got to think because of the way things are economically around the league, they're probably going to have to eat some of this money. So it's not an easy deal.
So as we look at the goalies here,
they do need
what do you see the market for Marc-Andre
a bit
Fleury?
more offense.
Well, I'm sure there are some teams.
Maybe a defenseman here, maybe Wallander. But at this point, I think you go with the German here for Vegas.
The Vegas Golden Knights are trying to deal with.
That's something we'll have to figure out in the future. Right now, it's the pick at 29.
Here we go. Vegas Golden Knights to pick.
2020 NHL draft will be made by Vegas Golden Knights general manager Kelly McCrimmon.
With the 29th selection in the first round of the entry draft, the Vegas Golden Knights are pleased to select from the Chicago Steel of the USHL forward Brendan Brisson.
Brendan, not third German in the first round, but the third American. He goes to Vegas. He played for the Chicago Steel. He's a center. Thought they were going wing. They go center. Vegas does. And now
I usually get one of these in the course of the draft, but I'm happy to have 3 because
Brisson, so here's his thing. Just knows his spot. He knows his position on the ice. He's going to score there. I think he'll be really nice on a Vegas power play. He would work really well. Like when he gets into this organization, if he does get into the Vegas Golden Knights, I think he will fit really well with Mark Stone, if Mark Stone is still in Vegas. He probably still will be, but Brisson is, he's that type of guy. He knows where to go. He'll be exceptional on the power play. Again, doesn't have to start here. And he's right now enrolling in the University of Michigan, so he'll play for the Wolverines for a few years. And if he's ready, he'll be able to contribute with the Knights.
Totally agree with everything you just said. Biggest thing is character. This guy has serious character. Going to the University.
He also grew up in LA as well, so he understands that type of hockey there. It's not a great hockey market, but some great players have come there. But Brisson goes this, and now on the clock, second to last pick, are the team that were 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup, Dallas. Is on the clock. Let's see what Dallas goes. That'll be interesting. I think Dallas here you go defensively. I think you go for Wallander here. They may go Clevin or even O'Rourke. But I think they'll go Wallander. We know they like their Europeans. There's a few. So if you want to go for Europeans here for Dallas, because they go for their European players a lot, you got the best player on the board right now, the German, John Jason Peterka. You've got Wallander, you've got Gunler, you've got Helge Grants, all Swedes, 2 of them defensemen, Wallander and Grants. Jan Mysak, the center from the Czech Republic, and also Marek Kustendinov, a Russian, as well as some of the North Americans out there on this top list. Jeremy Poirier, the defenseman for Canada. Maverick Bork, the highest Canadian still out there, rated. And another defenseman, another American, Tyler Cleveland. It's also the 12th straight year that the Dallas Stars have drafted in the first round. They have not traded for their first round selection, even in some of the playoff runs that they've had. They're not too active in the trade deadline, not since they went and got Jim Nill to be their general manager, and even before that.
Very proud Canadian fathers from Cape Breton, Northwest Territories, and Pat Brisson, of course, the French-Canadian agent from the province of Quebec. Nevertheless, Brendan Brisson played all his hockey in the States and continued to do that in the USHL and well at University of Michigan as well.
You know, it's not that I'm dying to wave the flag. It's just I'm saying in the limited opportunity I get to wave that flag, you don't have to rain on my parade. You know, let me have those moments.
Correct.
That's all I'm asking.
Correct.
All right.
I just knew that. I know Keith Jones isn't here because somebody needs to keep you a little bit honest.
No, don't worry. He's texting me abuse as we go, so he's on top of it.
Brendan Brisson grew up in California. I mean, other than maybe going to Quebec in the summertime to visit his grandparents, he's an American through and through. And Jake Sanderson was the captain of the National Team Development Program. I think he wears the stars and stripes very proudly.
Real strong making those comments, Bob, from all the way up in Toronto on the virtual draft here. Great moment for you here on TV. All right, let's try to focus and regroup because we got less than 90 seconds. The Dallas Stars have went all the way to the Stanley Cup final here. Incredible run during.
So where does Dallas go? Now, an interesting factoid. Didn't know this. Of course, I'm learning every time I see this. Anta Hudobin is going to be an unrestricted free agent, obviously, after that early injury. Ben Bishop. Anta Hudobin is an unrestricted free agent. He played his butt off in the first round against Calgary, in the second round against Colorado, and in the conference final against the Knights. And he played really well against a Tampa Bay team that was just superior.
And last year, Thomas Harley,
But here you go for Dallas.
who was in the bubble. Landry was in the bubble with the Dallas Stars as well. You know, that can benefit them as they lost some development time from playing in the OHL. But Dennis Gurianov, I mean, people said, oh boy, they were surprised. Look at the emergence of him. I think that the Dallas Stars have a really good beat on their scouting process, and they're not going to be hesitant to draft any type of player that's going to fit for them long term. And their future is promising because these players are really good, and that blue line looks terrific.
Well, they put on a show for all of us over the summer, and then in the bubble, they win the West, they go to the final, lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and now they pick here at number 30. 2 picks left to go. Let's hear what Dallas does at their.
Here are the Dallas Stars pick right now.
Assistant General Manager Scott White.
Again,
making the
I think Wallander.
In the 2020 NHL Draft.
With the 30th selection in the 2020 NHL Draft, the Dallas Stars select Maverick Bork of Shawinigan.
No, they go for Bork. They go for a North American. They go for a North American center.
Center of the 30th selection.
And they take Maverick Bork.
Go right back to you, Greg. What can you tell us?
For Dallas, he's the third Quebecois taken in this draft. The first one, obviously, Lafreniere by New York. The second one, Lapierre by Washington. And now, first Quebecois to go to the Western Conference in this draft. It's taken by Dallas. It's taken pretty late, and it's Maverick Bork, who is potentially an early second-round pick, but he goes in the first round late, and then a final selection coming up on this draft on the stream. And then, obviously, I'll take a few minutes, and then I'll come back for the NBA stream. Is going to Dallas. The last pick, though, held by San Jose off of the Gaudreau trade with Tampa, as Tampa won the Cup. But here is Bork. Bork is one of those guys that he's a never quit type player. He's a speed player. I could see him as one of those guys that like benefits off of where there's a loose change or right out of the box. He's a lightning rod for the Dallas Stars. He'll help them in that position. So he goes to a team that'll be contending for a Stanley Cup for the next few years. I don't think they have the tightest of windows, but it's not completely open.
knows how to manufacture offense in confined areas, and it's something that's really impressive about him. I think it speaks to his hockey.
So now San Jose is on the clock.
That's one thing. For him, that's
They had a top 3 pick in this draft, but it was on that Tkachuk trade, the Carlson trade. So they had to forego it. But they were able to make a trade here, so they are able to get a pick in this draft, in this first round. It's the final pick of the first round.
That's the most since 2003 when 19 were taken. And I look at that and I say, well, that's a note that I would have thought Bob.
I don't get too hung up on the numbers, David. So, and besides, you should celebrate that fact because you did go to the University of Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken, and of course everybody knows that Buffalo is part of Canada.
Had to get it in. With one pick to go, we were that close. We do have one pick left, all right? And it is the San Jose Sharks on the clock right now. Just about 3 minutes remaining here. San Jose, been interesting here because making some moves. Obviously, they acquired Ryan Donato. They acquired Devin Dubnyk. Pierre, I'll start with you. You look ahead to the Sharks team next year. They make these moves. We try to reject.
Yes, they're trying to retool it on the fly, and I totally get it. They've got a young coaching staff in there. Bobby Bugler takes over from Pete DeBoer, who moves on to Vegas, and I think what they're trying to do is just accelerate the pace of how they're going to rebuild it on the fly.
Yeah, San Jose, just a weird process, but trying to just rebuild this team, or I don't know what they're doing. So, because a lot of Sharks fans today, they think that they could even make a run to the playoffs. I don't think that's possible. Where do the Sharks go here? To me, it's Jeremy Poirier. Go for a defenseman here.
Recently inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, deservedly so. He's been a terrific manager.
I would like to see Marat Kushtanov as a Shark, but I think Jeremy Poirier will go there.
Other teams don't even consider. So I don't think it's going to be any different here. Their defense is really good. Their forwards, they have Timo Meier, Logan Couture, players that can really play and help their team. What they don't have is that consistency in the net that's really hindered them. He's hoping that the Devin Dubnyk acquisition can solidify that, but I have no doubt in my mind that what Doug Wilson is looking to do is to ensure that this team can get back to the playoffs, and I'm not going to bet against Doug Wilson in doing exactly that.
All right, we have just about 1 minute remaining before we get back to the commissioner, and he sends it to San Jose for the final pick here. So this is it. You're a player, you want to get drafted, you want to say that you're a first rounder, 1 pick left. Craig and Bob, I send it back to you. Give me one guy right now that stands out.
Again, I'm saying Poirier.
John Jason Peterka. They drafted Marco Sturm, a German. They drafted Marcel Gottsch, a German. Why not take another German?
I like Peterka for this pick, but I just don't think the Sharks would fit in with that. I think the Sharks need defensive prowess, and they need them quickly. There used to be for a long time, but now it is completely void. A large amount of defensive poolings of players in the California hockey clubs. But it's not there anymore. We need to retool, refuel the gasket. So let's see if the Sharks do that and take Poirier or maybe Mullins.
The San Jose Sharks Director of Amateur Scouting, Doug Wilson Jr., will make the 31st pick of the 2020 NHL Draft.
The San Jose Sharks are proud to select from the Prince Albert Raiders, Ozzy Weisblatt.
I don't know what that signal was, but another guy that no one knows, the 40th ranked prospect, Ozzy Weisblatt, a winger, goes to the Sharks. Weisblatt, the final pick of the first round of the 2020 NHL entry draft. He does become a first rounder. He played for the Prince Albert Raiders in the Western Hockey League. And he is a Calgary-born guy. He's going to play the Calgary Flames 4 times a year. Once he makes the San Jose Sharks, he goes to San Jose Sharks for Ozzy Weisblatt. So that's it for tonight for the first round of the 2020 NHL Draft. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern for the 2020 NHL entry draft rounds 2 through 7. The whole thing is going to be a huge stream. I can't wait. I'm excited. Happy hockey, everybody. I'll see you in a few minutes, actually, for the NBA stream. So stay on for that for the rest of the Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Miami trails in the series 2.
What just happened with that final pick in San Jose? Because I think it's a moment